We're going into Season 5 of Grand Rapids where my created school is doing better as we're sitting at a shocking 75 overall. Last year we finished at 5-7, but we landed 3-star JUCO recruit DeMarcus Perkins, who has jumped Ryan Wilson to be our starting halfback, and I'm hoping that the addition of him alongside senior Jackson McGowan can take our offense to the next level. Our tight end is by far our best player, but I wasn't sure who would be throwing him the ball because we have senior Ryan Pace who took this program to the next level, but we also have sophomore Brian Johnson who's a lot younger. I will say Ryan Pace is much better at throwing the ball, but he doesn't have the speed that Brian Johnson does, so I let you all make this decision for head coach Andrew Luck, but we'll probably see both quarterbacks this year either way. As for the sliders, which you all begged for adjustments on, the clipping is going to go back to its default, while we'll see if bumping up interceptions by 10 can help with the drops. Season 5 starts off with us playing against an FCS school, and as I scroll through this schedule, you'll notice that we don't have Notre Dame on it, but we do have all 5 of our in-state rivalry matchups. Maybe this is the year we finally win the Michigan Mac Trophy, and if it's needed from here on out, I've decided that the 3-way tiebreaker will go to the team with the best overall record. We're still not supposed to be a top 100 program, but these projections have been wrong in the past, and when it comes to recruiting, we only have a few team needs. My main targets include some linemen, a fullback, and quarterback Pat Smith, who looks like a slightly better version of Brian Johnson, so I want to bring him in to add some competition to our quarterback room, even if it's already kind of full with a bunch of different young guys. With all of that out of the way, it's time to start our season, and in this series, we play through an entire year in just one video, so hopefully by the end of this episode, we'll be winning our first ever bowl game and lifting all of our recruiting restrictions. It looks like we're starting out with a night game, and I'm going to use the freshman to make the tackle, who you might see me controlling a lot throughout this year. Matt Small is already a 74 overall. He was a great recruit from our last class, and he isn't going to make the tackle on this one, but if you all remember, Steven Anderson didn't start out being the best either, and South Dakota State has yet to try to pass the ball on us, but they're finally attempting it, and that's going to be intercepted by Steven Anderson. He finally gets the interception. I am so glad we changed those sliders, because even though they're still lower than what the default ones are, we all know that last season he would not have held on to that football, and on 2nd and 11, we're going to try and get Ryan Pace going by rolling out, throwing a perfect ball over to Steven Arrington down to the 10. Now for DeMarcus Perkins, he reminds me of Ben Fowler as we're going to have him for 2 years, but unfortunately he doesn't have 98 speed. He only has like 87, so we have got to throw the ball on 3rd and 7, and that's going to be dropped. Our star tight end should have definitely held on to it, especially if he's going to be the first ever player drafted in Grand Rapids history, so hopefully we don't see much more of that in the future. They're going to have a nice jet sweep play to the outside where Conception's going to catch him, but you have to keep in mind that this probably won't be an easy win for us, because South Dakota State is a very good school, and they're picking up another first down. Here on 1st and 10, they're passing again, and that is going to be another 15 yards, but I think the refs threw a flag on them, and somehow they held in 0.2 seconds. I'm kind of confused because their running back barely even touched anyone, but our home field advantage is looking good so far, and that's going to be about 6. On 2nd and 13, they're going to pitch it with the option, and Goodwin's going to have to make a tackle. He's another freshman, but he was not able to. So South Dakota State had no issues picking up 20 yards on us, and we're going to bring him down. From what I've seen out of Matt Small so far, he's not great at tackling, but that's something he can work on. It is 3rd and 3. I know the running back is open over there in the flat, and they're not getting it out. They had a really solid drive, but they're not going to get the field goal either as it's wide right, and I cannot believe that they just missed that kick. The read option's going for a few, taking us to the end of the first quarter, and I'm really happy with how this game has started. On this next one, Dante Moss is in motion. He was one of our breakout wide receivers that was a freshman last year. He's going to get a lot more action, and we have a lot of players on this team that we need to develop, but it looks like there was a flag on that one, and it's another holding call. We're only like a quarter into the game, and we've already seen 2 of those penalties, so that seems pretty fluky. On this 2nd and 9 run, we're going to get it to DeMarcus Perkins, who finally gets something going, and I'm not going to lie, he looks absolutely massive back there. I know he can truck some players if need be. Look at that. He's still going. Once he gets tired, we're going to have Ryan Wilson out there, who I also trust. He does have the speed to get at least 10 or 15. He's fighting for more, and our rushing attack looks incredible. From what we've seen out of Ryan Wilson, he does better when he's the backup instead of the starter, and it's time to see if DeMarcus Perkins is as good at the halfback screens as all of our past running backs have been. This should go for the touchdown, and it does. That gives Ryan Pace his 75th touchdown in school history, and to stay in this game, South Dakota State has a ton of work to do, but it's no surprise that Joel Johnson was on the end of that sack because he had 11 and a half of those as a freshman, and they're actually getting this 3rd down. That is so frustrating because I thought that we were about to get them off of the field, but middle linebacker Drew Flynn did a great job in wrapping him up, and I'm going to use her the sophomore here on 3rd and 5 where they're just going to try and throw it to that side of the field, but Rodney Cronin was all over it. We are playing exactly how I was hoping we would in this season opener, and if we're going to have success running on any team, it would be South Dakota State, but now we're faced with a 3rd and 6 where Dante Moss is going to get open and reel it in. I was patiently waiting on on him to create some separation, but he didn't get any there. And I gotta be careful because we threw an interception on a play like this last season. 2nd and 11 now. Time is winding down in the half, and we're just gonna go with the drag over to Steven Arrington, who gets out of bounds. But if we want to move the chains, we have to convert on this 3rd and 3, where Steven Arrington is the only player on the field that was able to get around all of the man coverage. He's had our last 2 catches, and on this next one, I'm gonna find Anthony Weber, who is gonna be a junior going into this year. So we only have him for 2 more seasons, and if I remember right, he didn't develop the way I was hoping he would, but Murphy's gonna pick off our quarterback, and I didn't think he was gonna get to that. It was a delayed read from Ryan Pace, but you know what? We are gonna make mistakes, and I can't expect myself to come out here and play perfectly. Just the fact that we're doing this well against South Dakota State makes me happy, but I would also love if we could prevent them from scoring, because I don't want them to get points before the half. And our DBs aren't the highest overalls, but we seem to do a lot better in man coverage, so that's what we're gonna stick with, getting the sack. And their kicker already missed a close field goal, so we know that they're nowhere near field goal range. This could be another interception, but unfortunately it wasn't. They're just gonna punt it back to us, and I highly doubt that we're gonna do anything with this to end the first half, but we might as well try and take a shot to the end zone if possible. We're gonna go over to Dante Moss, see if he can break free out of this, and unfortunately he wasn't able to. Without that interception in the 2nd quarter, we'd be up by 17 right now, but even though we're not, I do feel comfortable with this lead that we have because we've shown that we can play well. Dante Moss catching it again, and there were multiple comments saying that whenever he got targets, we played a lot better. Our linemen just kind of ruined that run, but I also need to be more patient with DeMarcus Perkins to hit the hole, and we're going to get the outside one to go for 10 yards. I am very interested to see how this roster matches up with some of the other MAC schools. Ryan Wilson's going to take the toss for another 10, and we're literally going to flip the play and run it with another one, but we didn't get the right block there. So it's back to passing the ball where our drag route is open underneath to Anthony Weber, but we have to get 8 more yards to move the chains, and we're going with the halfback screen to Perkins, where he tried to go to the outside, but it didn't work. It's a beautiful thing that this is the first time our punter's out there on the field, with this one pinning them inside the 10, and we know that South Dakota State's probably going to want to run the ball on us. That's what they've been doing the most, but it hasn't resulted in any massive gains yet, and I think we have to blitz on 3rd and 2, where we get in the hole with Matt Small, but he doesn't make the tackle. So the Jackrabbits have gotten another set of downs where Deshaun Winston is going to take this for about 8. We know exactly what is coming here, but I guess the question is, can we stop it? And I'm just going to run commit on this play, hoping that worked out for us, but it didn't either. This drive has felt like it's gone on forever, so it's a good thing they started inside our 10-yard line. Matt Small is not going to make another tackle, and I'm just going to start going for hit sticks with him and hope that's how we're going to have some success. Davis is scrambling here, getting them onto our side of the field, where now we're going to try and use her with Monroe. We're going to force him into a bad read, and this should be intercepted by Miller. Thank goodness he was able to come away with that football, and that's it. Another turnover forced by our defense, and Fred Miller is a senior, but he came into this program as a JUCO, so we always knew that his time with us would be short, and it is nice that we are finally holding on to some balls. Perkins going to take this handoff for a big gain, juking to the outside and then fighting off a 54. So I think he's set to have an amazing year, especially in the MAC against some of the weaker defenses, and I see no reason for us to not continue to feed him because he can truck players. I know we've had some speedsters, but it's also satisfying to watch people get run over. And here on 2nd and 8, it looks like they're going to go with some zone coverage, but Ryan Pace takes his first sack, and we are going to need a huge gain on this 3rd and 17, where we're going with the deep post and it's dropped. I'm not going to lie, there's been a couple moments where our offense has made some bad mistakes, but our defense has kept us in the lead in this one, and that almost pinned them inside the 1. But even though it didn't, I'm not worried because they've only had success when it comes to running the ball, and that is a big pass from them. Their quarterback, Thomas Davis, can't seem to put that much zip on the ball, though. Joel Johnson gets the sack, and the season just started, but he has already gotten 2 this year, so imagine what type of numbers he might put up. He's trying to take on 2 different players here. He wasn't able to get in pressure in time, though, and Matt Small's got to bring him down. I thought we were about to get South Dakota State off of the field again, but it's okay. We should be able to hold them, bringing him down, forcing the fumble, and picking it up with Jones. I don't know if he's going to have the speed to take this to the crib, but I guess he will. This is the freshman Brad Jones that we just recruited, and he's our right end on the other side of Joel Johnson, making plays like that. But we also have to give credit to cornerback David Conception for forcing this fumble, and Myron Cooper might have missed the extra point, but it's all good. Just 2 seasons ago, we had a defense that gave up so many points, so to have one now that has forced 3 turnovers has been incredible, and I don't think we're going to get over to that football. But I'm not worried about it because there's only 2 minutes left. They are bound to eventually reach the end zone. Davis is going to find Scott to get him to the 1, and I would have loved if we could get the first ever shutout in school history, but that's something that is incredibly difficult to achieve, and come on, we've just got to hold him 3 more times. Here on 3rd and goal, they're going with the quarterback sneak, but he's going to get in, and I just realized if they get this 2-point conversion, they're within a possession. It felt like it was over, and with this onside kick, we're still not able to seal it because they have all 3 of their timeouts left, so DeMarcus Perkins has to rush for 1 first down on them, and that's a good start. Here on 2nd and 2, Ryan Wilson is out there where he is going to hopefully get it, but they're saying it's 3rd in inches, so we're just going to need 1 more yard and that's it. We're starting the season with a win, and I know it's against an FCS school, but they're one of the better ones, so I'm going to take it. Our JUCO running back looked amazing, and aside from his turnover, Ryan Pace did as well. He found a lot of different receivers, with his main one being Dante Moss, but I just realized tight end Jackson McGowan got 0 targets, so during this bye week, we're going to have to figure out how to get him the ball more, and I'm so mad that Michigan already stole 2 recruits from us. Another player that might be interesting to go after is this JUCO Daniel Simmons, because he can play almost anywhere, and when it comes to getting quarterback Pat Smith, I don't think we're going to have any issues, but we're going to have some tight battles for these linemen and free safety Danny King. Besides all the top prospects we're going after as well, I'm going to get some of these guys for depth pieces, which could be helpful, and we're not supposed to beat Miami, Ohio, but they lost their first game versus Marshall, and on paper, we're 7 overalls better. I really like our odds going into this one, but the one thing that could be an issue is the fact that we have to play on the road. It's another night game where I'm hoping that we're able to come out and get off to a solid start, because if we want any chance of winning the MAC, we're going to have to beat teams like Miami, Ohio. They're going for the deep shot already, but Steven Anderson was all over it, and here on 3rd and 4, they're just going with the halfback draw, which we are going to blow up. Of all the teams we've had, this one is by far the best one, so my expectation is that we at least win a bowl game this year, because I think we can, but we have to take care of business first to get there, because last year we didn't even make one. DeMarcus Perkins has already had 2 big runs, and this is going to be another few, so we're making sure that we establish it early, and a little bit of the triple option isn't going to hurt anyone. I think this is 4 down territory, so we're just going to run it again on 3rd down, and Ryan Pace hasn't had to throw a single pass yet, but that hasn't been an issue. He's going to do it on the 2nd and 10 though, where we just have to hope that he's accurate, and this is a very big 3rd and 3 where our drag gets open to Clemens and he holds on to it. Thomas Clemens barely sees the field, but he's not bad when he does, and that was a beautiful spin move from DeMarcus Perkins for the tutty. So what a start that was from us, and Miami, Ohio has nobody open on this play. Our man-to-man coverage has clamped up, but they're going to shed the sack and then deliver a pass over to Bradley. That is so unfortunate. Linebacker TJ Davis should have easily wrapped him up, but because he didn't, the Redhawks still have the ball, and this defensive look is set up to stop the pass, but I just saw multiple players get open, so I guess we weren't. The game keeps you very honest because you can't run man or zone too much at once. You have to switch it up, and I'm going to send 7 players at their quarterback on this play, but we missed the sack with Steven Anderson, which is unfortunate, but we forced the fumble. Matt Small is going to pick the ball up, and our defense is seeming to force so many turnovers. I think we might have forced 2 fumbles in school history until this year, and through 2 games, we've already done it twice. They're not going to hold us to a 3 and out. Weber's going to get the first, and I'd say that's a great way to end the first quarter, but we're going to get 1 more run play going, which isn't good because DeMarcus Perkins isn't moving. As we await for what his injury was, I am incredibly nervous, and Ryan Wilson is faster than him, but for some reason he looks slower, so I've resorted to trying to pass a little bit, and this isn't going well. There's still no word on how our starting running back is doing. I hope he's not out for the year, and you can tell that that injury has messed with this team because we are not performing as well. We're going to luckily get a good bounce with the punt though, taking them inside about the 25. Here on 1st and 10, it's just going to be a run. Matt Small got in there, and it turns out that DeMarcus Perkins is only out for the game, so we can all have a sigh of relief. That is not as bad as it could have been, and Johnson's going to try and run on us, but he didn't get anywhere, making this a 3rd and 7 where they're going with a bubble screen, and there's no way they're picking it up. Hopefully our offense can figure it out without our starting running back. Ryan Wilson had a lane, but he got caught pretty quick, making this a 2nd and 6 where Ryan Pace rolls out and misses. What we need to do is get Jackson McGowan the ball on this 3rd and 6, but it's another bad pass, and Ryan Pace has 86 throw accuracy, so I don't know what to do about that. I think we're going to pin them back inside the 10 again though. This punt is going perfectly, going to the 7-yard line, and I'm so sad that our punter's a senior because he's been fantastic. That made me realize that we have to make sure that we recruit another one this year. They're breaking off a big run. Steven Anderson isn't making the tackle, so that was almost really bad. This one's going back to Robinson, but Drew Flynn has been like a magnet to the ball, and we should have brought down their running back there with Cronin. He kind of made up for it in the end, getting them to a 3rd and 9 where Joel Johnson needs to get back in coverage, and come on. Whenever you have players in the right positions, but they don't make plays on the ball, it's frustrating. Goodwin gets the interception though. This is the freshman linebacker, or I guess he's the redshirt sophomore because Adam Evans is the freshman. Either way, I'm pumped up because we're set up to end the 2nd quarter the right way, and I can guarantee that this will be the final possession of it, but we have got to get more than just a field goal. I want to get a touchdown. Jackson McGowan makes a catch finally, and on 3rd and 2, we need them to bite on Ryan Pace, but they didn't, and he's going to have to run for the first. We are now inside 10 yards away from reaching the end zone. Ryan Wilson catches it, and there were so many great blocks there, so it's going to be 14-0 going into the half, and if I'm remembering right, I think we get ball as well. We might not have DeMarcus Perkins for the rest of the game, but at least we have control of it, and a lot of it's because of our defense. Our offense hasn't been the best, but hopefully they can help us pick up this 3rd and 7 where our offensive line just collapsed there. I think they're also hitting Ryan Pace with intentional grounding, but he didn't really have a choice because Harris got shedded almost instantly. We've seen our punter pull off miracles in the past. I'm not sure if he can do it here. He doesn't have the biggest leg, but it's going to roll inside the 35. And I'll take it for sure. On 1st and 10, Joel Johnson's trying to get into the quarterback. He didn't get there quick enough, but I'm not worried about it. We still have a 2-possession lead. I trust our defense, and come on, boys, make a tackle here. They should just hand it off on 2nd and 1, but I guess they wanted to go with the pass instead, and that's out of bounds. They could have moved the chains, but now we're going to make it hard for them too, sending in a blitz. Come on, there we go. That's going to get the Redhawks off of the field again, and okay, Ryan Wilson, I see you. Sometimes I forget how solid he was as a freshman for us. He's getting it going, and I almost want to redshirt him next year as a senior so we have him once DeMarcus Perkins graduates, but that would feel really unrealistic. So let me know what you all think in the comments. Who is Miller, and why did I forget that we just recruited this fullback who threw that defender off of him? We don't ever use a fullback out of these formations, unfortunately, so the only time that he's going to see the field is when we need a 3rd string halfback, and this is a big 3rd and 10 where I'm going to pass it up the middle to Jackson McGowan, even though it was halfback screen, because I knew the tight end would hold on, and I hope that he still gets drafted into the NFL, even though we haven't used him as much as we should have. Freshman Luis Miller is back out there on the field, and I don't think he's fast, so we should have gone up the middle with him, but it's all good. It is 3rd down. We're going to take our halfback wheel route, and the fullback drops the ball. It's not the end of the world because Myron Cooper can hit from here, putting us up 17, and that gives us a 3-possession lead where once again the story of this game is our defense, but Conception just got toasted by Bradley. This is his 2nd big catch of the day on us, and that's my fault for leaving David, the sophomore cornerback, on an island. Aside from that bad coverage though, he's had a good start to the year as he forced that fumble in our last one, and that's going to be the end of the 3rd quarter, where this is certainly 4-down territory for the Redhawks, but I guess they're not going to even need it going to the 8. They're in 5 wide, which is interesting. We'll see if we're able to clamp it up, and just like our last matchup, it's taken our opponent 4 quarters to reach the end zone. I think it's safe to assume that they'll probably punch it in here on 3rd and goal, but they missed the pass, and they're going to have to go for it. We are stacking this box so heavily, but there's a flag, and I think it's on them. Never mind, it was on Brad Johnson, and it put them a tad bit closer on us, but they're still passing, and I realized that if I had a better user, we probably could have stopped them there, but it's all good because there's only 5 minutes remaining in this game, so we can run out some of the clock with Ryan Wilson, and I don't know what all these sliders change, but some of the animations we get on it, at least when it comes to running the ball, are beautiful. I've played a lot of this game, and I can tell the difference between some of them and what you get on base Heisman, so we're going to keep running the ball, hoping for some more good ones, and Ryan Pace should have pitched it. I was pounding the L1 button, but it didn't seem to matter, and I don't think that Dante Moss had a single catch in this game, but it didn't matter because we have a 2-possession lead, and with one more 1st down, that's going to seal it. Ryan Wilson was somehow able to get out of there, and our rushing attack, even with our backup, looks amazing. Now, you all told me in the comments that even when we have big leads, you want to see the end of these games to see how players continue to develop, so I'm going to do that in this episode, but I can change that up in the next one if you all don't like it. I can only hope that we have more big leads like this throughout our season in other games, and I think we're about to get another sack, which has caused Miami, Ohio to give up, and we get to end it with quarterback kneels again. Not having DeMarcus Perkins wasn't an issue, as Ryan Wilson filled in perfectly, and these passing stats didn't need to be good because our rushing attack was so solid, but that left some of our receivers getting almost nothing, and I have to shout out sophomore Anthony Goodwin for his 1st career pick. After that win, we've gotten another bye week, and the only thing I'm doing during it is looking for a punter, but unfortunately, there's not that many in the states that we can go after, and of these 3, the best one is this JUCO, but he's also being targeted by Michigan State. Right now in our conference, not many teams have played conference games, and one of those teams is Bowling Green, but they're undefeated, with wins over Indiana, Georgia State, and Memphis, so that gives us a difficult matchup, but it also makes for a great visit week that I'm going to take advantage of. Now, unfortunately, with Josh Hartman and Jay Brown, Pitt's already beat us to this visit week, so we can't schedule them, and the same's true for Danny King, so we're going to have to come up with a different one like Eastern Michigan, but that still wasn't available for these two, so they're going to come versus Buffalo, and I just hope they don't commit to Pitt beforehand. As for our punter, I kind of want to steal Robert Smith from Michigan State, and our 2 MAC schools in this matchup have the top 2 defenses in the country. We have to play well in this matchup, passing for 250 yards, so hopefully their defense doesn't perform as well, but you also have to remember that we faced off against weaker opponents, so these 2 defensive units are nowhere near the best 2 in the country. Ryan Pace is already scrambling, avoiding the sack, and we should just hand it off to DeMarcus Perkins, who is going to get at least 5. 3rd and 2 now. I'm going to trust the power back to pick this one up, but we also need to pass the ball more than we have been in recent weeks because I want that quarterback to commit to our school, and Dante Moss isn't going anywhere. Another big 3rd and 2, but I trust our strong running back to truck somebody, and we're just going to sling it on 1st and 10 where we have somebody open in Ernie Hicks. It's so weird to have an offense that actually has success early on in the game, but we have got to get this 3rd and 3, and Ryan Wilson is not making it. He's out there again on 4th down, so I'm going to pass instead of running to Jackson McGowan, and we had to go for it in that situation because we've already gotten down to like the 35. DeMarcus Perkins takes this handoff for a big gain, and Bowling Green doesn't know what to do when it comes to stopping us, but Jackson McGowan dropped the ball, and I gotta say, he has not been performing like a 94 overall. It is 3rd and 6 now, where they're going with man-to-man coverage on Dante Moss, so we will take our touchdown to the sophomore wide receiver, but I gotta stop simming these extra points because the misses are ridiculous, and Myron Cooper's a junior now, so he should be nailing all of these. Johnson is not going to make the tackle on their running back, which means they're going to move the chains. Now they're handing it back off to Wheeler, but we are all over the run, and we are in a zone on this 2nd and 10 where their quarterback's trying to run for the first, and he doesn't make it. I'm run committing on 3rd and 1, which didn't work anyway, and so far our defense hasn't done anything to impress these visiting recruits. That's going to take us to the end of the first quarter, and it feels like it flew by so quick. On 2nd and 8, we could get the sack, and Goodwin came away with it. What a player Anthony Goodwin's been for us. We almost forced another one, and even though we didn't, they're punting us the ball back, so that is a great first stop from our defense. Andrew Monroe's going to take this return for almost nothing, but when it came to moving the ball on our opening drive, we didn't have any issues, and I'm hoping that the same can be true again. On 2nd down, that's a sack, where our entire offensive line just got run through, and we're going to need a big throw out of Ryan Pace on 3rd and 17, where he looks over to Dante Moss, who dropped it. We tried our best on that possession, but Bowling Green has forced us to a 3 and out. At least we're going to get the bounce that we were looking for here, and I'm ready to fill that hole up with Drew Flynn, but they hit us with the play action instead, and Wheeler's going to come away with 8. Quarterback Lucian Anderson III could be a little more difficult to stop than I thought, but he just threw for his first incompletion, and on 3rd down we stopped him. It's kind of crazy how fast time is flying by in this matchup, and I'm a little intimidated on 2nd and 5 because they were clearly about to send a blitz. We're just going to throw it up to Dante Moss, who is not going to moss that corner. He's actually going to miss it, and I've been wanting to take a deep shot all season, but I don't think we're going to have the speed to be successful doing it. It was a dumb mistake to try it, but nobody else was open, including Jackson McGowan, so I thought I'd try and let the sophomore make a play, but they've just burnt us deep over on that side of the field on Fred Miller, and Josh Wright's going to put Bowling Green up by 1 point. We felt like we had full control of this game, but it changed very quickly, and I need to run up the passing yards with Ryan Pace because right now he only has like 30 of them. Here on 1st and 10, they're not going with man-to-man coverage. It's zone, but they're not on Anthony Weber, thankfully, and there's still a minute left in the half, so we have time to run it, but I was hoping for a bigger gain than that, and we are going to get it on this play as Perkins has broken free to the crib. I think we have to go right back to him on the 2-point conversion where those blocks are going to be exactly what we needed, and I understand that we left a lot of time on the clock for Bowling Green to score on us, and we are not going to run press man-to-man because that will lead to us giving up a touchdown like the last one. They get the first, and from that I've been able to learn that we need to have a quarterback spy out there on the field, but it would be nice if when we do, he could also put his hands up to get the interception. Lucian Anderson's running, and Davis is stuck off sides right now. They're going to throw a flag on us, but I was not able to move him. I don't know why he was stuck there. That glitch is not helping us out, and by the time I tried to call a timeout, it was too late, but it's okay because I still think they're out of field goal range, and on this 1st and 10, Fred Miller got run by again. He's struggling to keep up with Wright, but they have somebody in motion. There's only 3 seconds left. I think this is going to be the final play of the half, and what was Bowling Green doing? They didn't even hike the ball. That is awesome because we should not have a 7-point lead right now, but I will take it. This needs to be picked by Evans, and it is. There's the freshman linebacker starting the 3rd quarter the right way, and it is so nice that we are actually catching some of those this year. However, I think this one's being brought back for clipping, and because it's a 15-yard penalty, we have a long way to go. I shouldn't have spun there, but I've definitely made a habit out of doing it, and normally it works. We have our hitch on this 2nd and 22 to Anthony Weber, where I want to get in field goal range for Myron Cooper, but we can go for the 1st down as well. I trust sophomore Dante Moss to hold on to the ball, and we'll see what he can do on this jet sweep. Apparently nothing, so we should have just given it to DeMarcus Perkins, who we know will have more success with it as he gets 9, and on 3rd and 1, it's going right up the middle back to him for another gain. This guy is a tank. I didn't realize how good he might be, but it's helped Ryan Pace settle in and manage the game much better, where you can see that I am kicking these extra points now. If Bowling Green wants to stay in it, they're going to have to respond back on this drive, but I trust us to lock up. I should have gotten to that ball with Drew Flynn, and I did. What a user interception from him, and the sophomore linebacker got all the way back to that ball, even though he's kind of chunky. We're just going to go ahead and punch it in at this point. Ryan Wilson took the handoff instead, and where's DeMarcus Perkins when you need him? Now he's out there, but it's 2nd and goal from the 5, which is very disappointing, and we are definitely kicking our field goal if we can't get in here, but they picked us off. They read it like a book, and I was spamming X the second the ball was hiked, but there was a bit of a delay on it. That's a rough turnover from Ryan Pace, as we have deserved all 3 of the interceptions we've thrown this year, but Joel Johnson's getting another sack, and I still cannot believe that we couldn't finish off that last drive with a touchdown. Drew Flynn literally set us up to seal the game with a win, but we couldn't do it, so I'm glad to see Fred Miller finally clamp up, and we have the ball back up by 14 with a minute and a half left in the 3rd quarter, so we should be good. DeMarcus Perkins is getting out of there again, and you know that he's going to get every last yard he can. He never goes down on the first tackle. He always makes sure to get a bit more. And I'm going to hand it off to him one more time to see if he can get anything, but he didn't, so it's 3rd and 6 where we cannot turn it over, and Ernie Hicks holds on. Ryan Wilson should have had a touchdown after that interception. Maybe he'll get it on this play if he can seal the outside edge. He really wants to get it, and the junior running back has put us up by 21. I'm not going to lie, if we can play this well all season, we might actually win the MAC this year, because there's no way that we can't keep it at least close with every other team in our conference. At the end of the 3rd quarter, we're still up by 21, and Bowling Green's going to have to start passing if they want to have success, but we get another interception, and Rodney Cronin is a player that never holds on to the football. I didn't even bump up the interception slider that much, only by 10 points, so it's still 10 lower than it would be on default Heisman, but we've been catching everything. So I love the fact that we can actually play defense. We've also been making tackles, and I didn't touch that slider. That's going to be a first, but everything feels a lot more realistic now, and on this 1st and 10, nothing's open. Bowling Green hasn't been able to score for a very long time, but we cannot give up runs like this because it allows them to build up some momentum, and there's a missed throw. I think we can trust our man-to-man coverage to hold it down in these situations. They had nothing, so they tried to run, and we might as well mix in a cover 3 on 3rd and 8 where they are not going to reach the marker. That means they have to go for it, and I am sending 7 players at their quarterback. I don't want to give them any time. He throws it deep, and that's going to be knocked away. Great defense from freshman Matt Small, and this is the point in the game where I normally wouldn't show these plays, but you all said that you want to see more player development, and Perkins is going to take this handoff for another 10 yards from him. He's got almost 150 yards on the day, so we're going to let him continue to work, and it might not seem like it, but right now he's averaging 7 yards per carry, so it's unfortunate that he got stopped there. Here on 3rd and 8, Ryan Pace has somebody deep, and he is going to hit Steven Arrington. It looked like the senior hit like a speed boost or something, and we have actually blown out Bowling Green by 28 points. I don't think we have ever had our backups on defense out there on the field in this dynasty, but that's what we're experiencing right now because we're winning by so many points, and we're still clamping up. John Williamson could have had an interception, and I might as well try to bait them on this side of the field, but I don't know if they're going to take it. They're just going to run instead, and we're going to hit them. I love the fact that some of our younger guys on defense are getting some experience and some minutes against a first-team offense, because Bowling Green has not conceded. They have not put in their backups yet, and they're trying to be the first team to put up more than 7 points on us. However, that is going to backfire for them because Tony Wheeler, their star halfback, just got hurt on that play, and they're going to be missing him now. That'll probably affect how they do in MAC conference play, and look at that stat line from DeMarcus Perkins. This was the perfect week for recruits to visit because even if Ryan Pace couldn't pass for over 250 yards, we showed our rushing attack was good, and our program is going to be stable. I'd love to say it's all good news as quarterback Pat Smith committed, but Jay Brown decided to go to Pitt, and it stinks because I really wanted him, but at least we have a lead on some of these other guys, and Andrew Luck has continued to become a higher overall, which is good because we're going to need it versus Michigan State, who's already lost to Alabama and on the road at USF, but we've never beaten our rivals who are an 88 overall, and I have a hard time believing we're going to stop a 98 overall quarterback. Theoretically, we should as we have the #1 defense, but we all know that's because we've only been playing against weak opponents, and we're starting out with the ball where DeMarcus Perkins had the open lane, but it's going to take him a while to get things going, and that's going to be a nice little throw from Ryan Pace. I feel like our best option on 3rd and 4 is to simply hand this one off, and the sooner we can establish the run on the Spartans, I think the better that this goes. Every so often, we accidentally run into the back of a lineman, though. They're all over us, so we obviously need to pass here, and I wanted to take the slant, but Ryan Wilson's wide open, and he is not going to make it. I think it's too early to go for it in this situation. Realistically, I do think we could get it with our running back, but we're just going to punt it instead, and that is perfect. Sam Leavitt's going to have to start on the 3-yard line, and we are prepared to stop the run. We know exactly what is coming. Steven Anderson got knocked over, though, and Evans is going to have to catch Dallas Hicks. He always gives us issues, and are you kidding me? Every single year, they have a running back that destroys us, and I thought I was in the perfect defense to stop the run. I made sure the box was stacked, but their offensive line must be a lot better than us, and come on, DeMarcus. Not only did he get tripped up, but we also committed a penalty, so it's coming back, and we all know that I'm going to look up the seam for Jackson McGowan, but he just got clamped up, and so did Dante Moss by that cornerback. 3rd and 13 now. I'm hoping that they stick with zone. We're going to go for the corner route over there, but Anthony Weber was marked short, and we're on our 30-yard line, so we have got to punt. Last time we pinned them back, and it worked out. They fumbled it, but Rucker also picked it up, and he's going to shed that tackle on us. So this has been a much different experience than how some of our other games have started. They've broken 2 tackles, 3, and I think our team's gotten good enough to where we play well against teams that are on our level, but we're not doing well against Michigan State. Dallas Hicks has already gashed us for 2 massive touchdown runs, and I wish DeMarcus Perkins could do the same on them, but I think we're starting to realize that we might not be on the level of Michigan State still, which is unfortunate for us. I want to be able to compete with the big programs, but we are only 5 years into this being a school. DeMarcus Perkins is getting a big one, and you know what? Maybe we just had a slow start because we look good on those last couple of plays. Perkins isn't going to lose yards, and we have seen Ryan Pace have big games when we need him to close clutch up, so we'll do that too. I am not going to be afraid of trying to fit the ball into tight windows with him. Ryan Wilson comes away with 7, and I don't like that he's the player in on this halfback toss, but I don't have a choice to do it. Will he have the speed to get the outer edge? He does. Honestly, it wasn't the worst first quarter in the world because we've had 0 turnovers, but our defense just hasn't done well, and DeMarcus Perkins has taken it to the 1. This is where we want him in the game, not Ryan Wilson. He fights, but it still isn't enough, so we have to hand it off again, and thankfully the JUCO was finally able to reach the end zone. Now the question is, how are we going to do on defense? Can we lock up? We get the sack, and what a play from Joel Johnson. Almost instantly, he just runs by this tackle to get into that hole on Sam Levitt, and now they probably have no choice but to hand it off where we're getting out there with Matt Small, and this is where we show our resistance. On 3rd and 16, there is no way that Harris is going to reach the marker. There's too many people over there, and he tried his best, but we have stopped him short. So it's about time that we get the ball back here and go to work. Andrew Monroe's trying to get the outer edge. That was a nice little spin from him, and all we want to do is get DeMarcus Perkins into some space, but they were ready for that run. He's led us down the field once, so we are not going to go away from it. This is the one that we were looking for. DeMarcus Perkins takes it for 20, and just like Ben Fowler did, he gives us a chance in every single one of these games. I miss our 98 speed running back a lot. He would have been so much fun with this team, but DeMarcus Perkins honestly hasn't seemed that slow, and on 2nd and 6, it looks like Ryan Wilson is in, but he's going to spin for the first down. Right now, we are running the ball so effectively on Michigan State, and DeMarcus Perkins is back out there to get us the first down plus a bit more. He might as well seal the drive by taking it in if he is able to fight, and he is. So DeMarcus Perkins has made it 14 all, and it is time for our defense to show out, but I'm afraid that man-to-man coverage might not work against Michigan State. I'll try it one more time, and this time they just went with the run to Dallas Hicks, but I don't want to see our guys getting burnt, and I'm trying to get over there with Drew Flynn, but because we couldn't, it is now 3rd and 4 where they're going to go deep, and that's knocked away. Great defense from Fred Miller, and it turns out that we can run man-to-man coverage on Michigan State after all. Right now, we have a minute to score on the Spartans and take a lead. There's plenty of time back there to find Steven Arrington, so everything is going our way right now, and we're going Anthony Weber. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous of throwing an interception with Ryan Pace, so I tried to mix in a run to switch it up, but it didn't go the way that I thought it would. Jackson McGowan's open, but I'm going to throw it to the other receiver on this side of the field. It is picked off, but I think there might have been some PI, and the refs are on our side as they're going to call it. That was the bailout that we needed. We can still score points before the half, and we're getting to the 15. There's honestly plenty of time too. I don't want to give them any, so we just ran some clock off, and I'm going to be looking for Jackson McGowan on this play. Who's going to come away with it? We have scored 21 straight on the Spartans, and what an ending to that first half. I was a little worried with how we started off defensively that it could be a rough game for us. They're getting a nice little scramble here. We could have forced a fumble, but unfortunately we weren't able to. On 2nd and inches, they're picking it up, and let's see what they do on this one. They're going with the halfback toss over to the outside. We're over there with Matt Small, but we didn't get there quick enough, and Dallas Hicks is also going to take this one. They're getting some amazing blocks. I think this might go to the house if Fred Miller can't bring him down, and that was such a clutch tackle because we could still hold them to a field goal where they just went with the halfback screen, and we are all over it right now, but this is an option run, and Sam Levitt's going to break a tackle. 3rd and 2, I'm sure they're going to hand it off, and that's a touchdown. So it didn't matter that I ran commit. They still were able to get in, and it's all tied up at 21, but we've had a lot of success when it comes to running the football, so I'm not too worried. I trust our rushing attack. I don't like when Ryan Pace has it, but that still works for getting a first down, and we'll mix in a little bit of a stretch here where I should have hit that hole a lot better, but it's all good. We still got a couple of yards, and Perkins is going to see the gap on the 2nd down. Now Ryan Wilson is out there, but he's been warmed up, so I trust him to take this handoff as there's a lot of green grass on this side of the field going for such a big gain on the Michigan State defense, and that's what you want out of your backup running back. I don't see why we would even try to pass. Right now we're doing so well running the ball, and Perkins is back out there for the 2nd and 2 where he gets the first down plus more. We're just going to hand it off to him down here. He needs to get in, but they were prepared for it. On 2nd and goal, they're also shooting that gap, and we probably need to pass it. I know that that drag underneath is open to Steven Arrington, but we were stopped short, and we should be smart to take our field goal. As much as I would have liked to be aggressive, it would have been the wrong move as we now have a lead on them, but we need to lock in, and they're handing it off to this side of the field. We don't have many players over there. What a tackle. That could have been very bad for us. Now they're going to the other side, and they're getting it like 7 or 8 yards, taking us to the end of the 3rd quarter, and here on 3rd and 3, it's another handoff where they're going to not make it to the marker. 4th and inches is such a big deal because instead of going for it, they're punting it back to us, and that was one of the worst punts that we have ever seen. A lot of open grass on that part of the field, but I couldn't get over to it with Perkins, and that's so unfortunate. Maybe we will on this one. That's a beautiful spin move leading to another first down where Ryan Pace has it on the option, but I did not want to risk tossing the ball, and Ryan Wilson's going to get a few. 3rd down, halfback screens normally work in these situations, but it seems like they have stuck over there with Perkins, so we're just going to punt it back to them and trust our defense where that ball, if it bounced, would go out soon. We forced the fumble. Rucker picked it up for the 2nd time in this game, and he has struggled to catch punts, but it isn't going to matter. The fact that Dallas Hicks has rushed for this many yards yards on us is kind of embarrassing, but at least they're not passing the ball with their 98 overall quarterback, and come on, you cannot get trucked like that. Our poor cornerback David Conception just got run into the ground, and I am run committing on this play because I wanted to stop the run, but they just got another big gain. Fred Miller can't make the tackle either. Come on, boys. We have got to find a way to hold them to a field goal, but they mixed in a halfback draw, and that is not going to end well for us. Nobody made a tackle. The pressure is on because we could win, but it's going to take us having a big drive versus the Spartans, and I believe that there is enough time on the clock for us to successfully run the ball, especially with DeMarcus Perkins, who just juked out multiple different players. So we're going to keep going back to him, and we have 3 timeouts to burn to make sure he is always out there. I feel like I can trust Ryan Wilson though as well, so we're going to let him try and get the first down here, which he's able to do. And there's a lot of open space on that left side of the field where Ryan Wilson could have hit the hole better, but because he didn't, it's 2nd and 6, and why is he still out there on the field right now? I'm starting to think that DeMarcus Perkins is hurt, but there he is. He is back out there. The issue is there's only a minute left, and we're going to start taking some timeouts. I really wanted to just run it down their throats, but I don't think it's going to work. Nothing's open here. Don't pick it. And on 4th and 11, we are going to trust Anthony Weber if it's man-to-man coverage, but they got pressure in, so we're going to Jackson McGowan. Please get the first. And it was very risky, but I knew it was our only option to have success. Now we're going to go with Perkins getting another gain, but I should have probably burned one of our 2 timeouts. Now we're hurrying up to the line. 18 seconds left. The pressure is on. Moss is coming across. We're going to take it to him instantly, and that's a touchdown. However, the refs are saying that there was a flag. Are you kidding me? They just hit us with holding. That is terrible. Ryan Pace is getting sacked, and that was the worst blocking of all time. I really like the route that Jackson McGowan was on. It was like the one that Dante Moss is on right now, where we are going to try and get it to him, but I feel like nothing went our way there. The corner routes aren't open. We're going for the 50-50 ball. Jackson McGowan, and it's picked. We literally were in the end zone against them, but the Spartans get to come away with the win, and I have never been more devastated when playing this game. I think I'm ready to go cook myself a steak because we just got annihilated by Dallas Hicks, and all of our stats were so good before that interception at the end from Ryan Pace. DeMarcus Perkins and Ryan Wilson both did great, so it's just hard to see that first loss in the L column, but after I finish eating lunch, we have a long season to finish with 8 more games, and right now in our division, there are 5 teams that are undefeated in conference play, with the one we're playing next being Northern Illinois, who's lost to teams like Utah State and the Citadel, but beat Nebraska on the road. Their offense is really good, but their defense isn't, and we're still in a few very tight battles with recruiting, but there's a few guys I'm confident that we'll get. We're in a close one with Robert Smith, the punter, versus Michigan State. We're going to schedule him versus Buffalo, and we did get one more commit in athlete Daniel Simmons, who will probably be a backup halfback for us. It's about time that we take on the Huskies though, and their best 3 players are all on offense, while they have a 68 overall defense, so there's a pretty good chance that this is going to turn into a shootout. I ate a solid lunch, so I'm ready to bounce back after our loss, and unlike Michigan State, Northern Illinois is not going to run as well on us. 3rd and 5 now. They are snapping it. We got man-to-man coverage out there. That could have been picked, but it worked out anyway because we still have the ball with Perkins, and that right side of the field is looking wide open if we could break one free with him, but it is already 3rd down, so we're going to go ahead and pass and just take the simple drag underneath. I feel like whenever we take what the defense gives us, we have so much success offensively. I pitched that hoping Ryan Pace could make the block for Perkins, and that was the right decision, even though he had the open lane, and this could go all the way to the house, which it did. DeMarcus Perkins is the best running back in school history, and that's a little disrespectful to say because of Ben Fowler, who did so much for us when we were a new program, but he was smaller and got stopped a lot easier. So even though it's only been like 5 games, I am confident that we have an even better running back now. I should have stuck with Whitaker, and that's an annoying one to give up, but we noticed it was a read option where Steven Anderson got trucked. So now it's 2nd and 8, a handoff to Lawrence McLaughlin, where he was only able to get a couple. So we will see what they do on this 3rd down, if they're able to move the chains or not. I probably shouldn't have gone for the sack on that play, but nobody was generating pressure, so I had to go for it myself. And here on 2nd and 12, they're trying to hit us with the toss. Steven Anderson's over there, and he brings him down. We're shutting down this Northern Illinois rushing attack, but when it comes to them passing, we're not able to do the same. So that's been a bit frustrating, but at least Lawrence McLaughlin hasn't gone anywhere, because as a 92 overall running back, he's got to be the highest overall one in the MAC. So it was a given at some point he was going to break one off, but Anthony Goodwin should have had an interception with that one, and that's going to take us to the end of the 1st quarter. All right, this is a massive 3rd down for us. I'm guarding everything over here, and it still isn't enough because he was very close to the marker, and they didn't give them the first, but Northern Illinois is challenging it, which after the call was reversed has led to them getting a new set of downs. Here on 2nd and 8 though, they're going to snap it, and I'm over this with Matt Small. I'm waiting for Moore to try to make a read, and are you kidding me? I don't know what happened to our deep safety over there, but that's very frustrating. Perkins is somehow breaking multiple tackles, and I don't know how he got out of that one. We need to pick this up though, and they've guarded all of that perfectly. So it is 3rd and 20. I did not think the Huskies were about to clamp us up, but we should have kept the ball on the ground because we have to punt it back to them, and look at the bounce. We always get a good one with this punter. Well, it's time to see if we can stop their passing attack, and that was an almost instant throw, but now they're lined up to handed off, and we were ready. 3rd and 1. They hit us with a play action, and we have somebody over there. So I'm not even upset that we didn't get the pick because we're still getting the ball back, and Andrew Monroe might be able to get this outer edge, but we should probably put someone else back at returner. He hasn't been the quickest or the best so far, and I'll make that switch when I need to. Perkins is going to get about 8, but I'm hoping for an even bigger gain on this play because we're going to give him a halfback toss into space, and that didn't work out. I don't like the idea of handing it off 3 straight times, but that's what we decided to go with, and they spotted it as a 4th and inches, so I almost decided to go for it, but we're going to trust our defense. Here on 1st and 10, Northern Illinois only has a couple of routes out there on the field, and on 2nd and 11, I'm all over all of that. Please throw it to me. Freshman Brad Jones just picked up another sack. Don't tell me they're about to get this 3rd and 12 with Lawrence McLaughlin. That is ridiculous. He's one of the few players where it makes sense for us to struggle to tackle him. He is very oversized, and that is another deep pass on our defense. So the Huskies are starting to get some things going in their favor. And on 2nd and 7, this is definitely 4 verticals. I'm gonna bait them into it, but it's dropped. That would have been such a rewarding interception, but they didn't give it to us, and we still hold them. So I'm gonna take a timeout, and that gives us time to score after they hit this field goal, where I think we're just gonna make somebody like Anthony Weber our new kick returner. He's our slot wide receiver, so he's not on the field all the time, and he does have 93 speed, which could be effective, but he didn't go anywhere there. Here on 1st and 10, we're going over to Stephen McGowan for a 20-yard gain, but he is not able to hold on to the ball. And on 2nd and 10, they are pressing wide receivers like Dante Moss. I had the slant, but I wanted to go for the deep shot, and that's so stupid. I have been conditioned to recruiting very fast guys and throwing up that deep shot like a million times whenever I play in my rebuilds, but I think we're going to be okay because this should bring them back, and that's definitely the last time I'm going to trust Dante Moss to get separation and throw it up to him because it hasn't worked, especially since I'm pretty sure they just got in field goal range and it's a miss. Well, I guess this is a situation where it would make sense to throw it up to Dante, but our offensive line didn't give us enough time, and I want to go back to running the ball because that's where we had all of our success. We're getting some great blocks here. Perkins is going to juke that guy out, and he has one more man to beat, but he just got tripped up there, and he's still out there on the field. He's not even tired. He's taking another handoff for another nice gain, but at some point Ryan Wilson's got to replace him, and that's what we got on this play. He isn't warmed up yet, but if he was, I think that could have been a touchdown, and we ran the ball all over Michigan State, so there's no reason we can't do it again. I have to trust our offensive line, and Perkins is going to fit through the hole on this run, setting up a 3rd and 7 for us where that corner route just got wide open from Anthony Weber. Thank you. We needed something like that, and Ryan Wilson has a lane here, but he didn't make the most out of it, and why is he still in the game? I needed to see Perkins out there in this situation because he is the stronger halfback, but they've held us to a 4th and goal, and I feel like it just got a lot darker out here when I'm selecting a 4th and goal play call. Please hand this off and take it into the end zone. Thank you. I was kind of worried that it getting darker was a sign things were going to go bad, but our aggressiveness has paid off. I almost took the field goal, and sometimes the shaders on these night games looks a little bit funky, but we can get used to it. Here on 2nd and 5, they're picking this one up, moving the chains, and are you kidding me? How is 84 still going? Okay, that was almost really bad, and it still is. They're getting closer to the end zone, which is covered in fog right now, and on 2nd and 8, another handoff, this time with their backup, who we just missed multiple tackles on. Are you kidding me? That's a touchdown for the Huskies, and sometimes the hit sticks work while sometimes they don't pay off the same way. So it's our turn to score again, and DeMarcus Perkins is really tired, so he's not going to get that far, but maybe Ryan Wilson can. He's coming in, subbing in on this one as the backup, and this is going for 4. I am determined to keep it on the ground for as long as possible. Brian Johnson would be a great option because as a quarterback, he's even faster, but I refuse to go away from Ryan Pace, who has had an amazing year for us, and we're going into the 4th quarter down by 3. We're going to have to pass the ball on 3rd down unless Perkins could somehow get us all 12 here, so I've drawn up a corner route for our star tight end, and he dusted that linebacker on him. Jackson McGowan might be able to take this one to the house by himself, and he got close, but when we need our star, he's not out there. Instead, it's Ryan Wilson on the field, and thankfully on the next play he is in, so we have taken our lead back on Northern Illinois. We'll see what they can do on this one. I'm waiting for the route bounce. We knew it was coming, and they're just going to go nowhere. That is exactly why you always have a quarterback spy out there. I couldn't get to the ball, but I was almost able to bait their quarterback into turning it over, and Johnson's going to have to make a tackle, but he missed on him. That's unfortunate. There's only 3.5 minutes left, so this is probably one of the final offensive drives of the game, and we already lost a close one to Michigan State last week, so we can't drop another, but Northern Illinois is always one of the best MAC schools, and we've gotten them to a 3rd and 3 where they've committed a false start, so they've had to move back 5 yards, making it 3rd and 8. Man-to-man coverage is sticking pretty nicely, but they just have too much time back there. We need to send more. I've learned that I cannot get away with only putting 3 in. This time we put 5 and he missed the pass, so that seemed to work out a little bit better for us, but Andrew Monroe's in an island, and what a play. He could not have played that any better, and this is a wide receiver screen where we have missed it, but he's still going to make the tackle, so it could all come down to this 4th and 1 where we are going to knock down Lawrence McLaughlin. All it takes is us getting one more first down, and we will have beaten Northern Illinois. So I just need to remember to be patient, take this one with Perkins, see that we have the outer edge. That's a perfect block, and this is it. We are going to beat the Huskies. I might be trying to pull a Miami because I want to get even more rushing yards with him, but I think he set a school record in this game, breaking Ben Fowler's. And let's go ahead and just get down on a knee. Grand Rapids University is sitting at 4-1 with a halfback that can run for 200 yards, and Ryan Pace only threw 7 passes in that game, but he didn't have to do much because we were carried. Going into rivalry week, we have a system that works, and we're going to be playing Central Michigan for the #1 spot in our division, but they can't be that good because they lost to San Diego State and Georgia State, while these two teams are both winless in conference play. Eastern Michigan and Western are bad, but they're playing in the first game of the Michigan-MAC rivalry, and it looks like the Eagles are back to being bad. Robert Davis was amazing as a freshman, but he's struggling as a sophomore, and that's really good news for us, but we have a tough one coming up, and it looks like the weather's going to be good for this one, so that's nice since we have to play on the road. They've got the ball first, and it looks like they're going to try and pass this early on. Drew Flynn could have gotten over there, but we got stuck, and quarterback Blake Butler might be out here to sling it. Mickey Jenkins is still in college, and that is not a pleasant sight to see. We have struggled to stop him numerous times in the past, and there he goes already, shedding multiple tackles, and he might break this one too. We cannot let Central Michigan take us down and ruin our season. That could have been picked, and I think this game alone might decide who wins the Michigan-MAC rivalry, so we have got to take care of business. That's going to be a jet sweep on 3rd and 2, but even though we knew it was coming, we weren't able to stop it, unfortunately, and there's a pick from David Conception. I don't know how he has come away with this ball, but he might be able to take this one back to the house himself, and I tried to swerve inside, which was a bad idea, but I don't care. I'm so happy with the sophomore for forcing this turnover, and that is exactly what we needed because they were about to score on us. We have always owned Central Michigan. That cannot change in this one, and here on 3rd and 6, they want to go with man-to-man coverage, so we're going to take it over to Dante Moss. That gives us a whole new set of downs for Perkins to get it going, but so far it has been a very slow start for him, and hopefully we can figure things out on this 3rd and 12, but we didn't have a corner route out there like there was supposed to be. I'm sure things could be worse, but I wanted to get points there, and that is a terrible punt from Clemens. Normally in that situation, we would pin them inside like the 10-yard line. Now Butler is going to run for at least 15 yards, and their rushing attack has been a major problem for us so far. We can't stop it. Drew Flynn isn't making that tackle, and he's going past midfield. They didn't get the first down, and they are deciding the pass here, but we have got to put a quarterback spy out there sooner rather than later, and I've remembered to do it on this play, but then they're just going to hand it off, so I'm surprised that that run didn't go for that much. On 2nd and 9, our coverage is looking perfect, but they had a little bit too much time, and that's the issue with having a quarterback spy, but we're still going to stick with it, and they're going to pick up the first down to Mickey Jenkins. This is a new Central Michigan team from the ones we've played before. They seem so much better, and we should be running on 1st down, but I'm annoyed. I want to try and pass it, so that's what we're going with, the Jackson McGowan, but it didn't work in our favor. Now we're hitting them with the halfback toss, and we didn't get the blocks. 3rd and 9 now. We have that route over the middle of the field to Dante Moss. He catches it, and all we needed was something to go our way because now we can start to establish the run. It's taken a little bit longer than it normally does, but we have learned that we can trust in Perkins to get the job done for us, and there it is. What a play. And I wanted to let him get to work in space, but Ryan Wilson is in on the halfback screen instead, where he is a little bit too tired right now. So we got the first, but we could have gotten a lot more, and we're going to use 93 speed Anthony Weber's speed on this one, which has worked for us in the past in previous seasons, but it is still 3rd and 4, and that's not going well. We have been held to a 45-yard field goal, which Cooper is going to drill, but I kind of want to refrain from running halfback tosses after that one because it should have gone better. And why did Miller not make a play on this ball? That should have been an interception. We would have had it back, and I am definitely feeling the pressure of this rivalry matchup against them, but it's now 3rd and 8, so we have an opportunity to get them off the field. And what are you doing, Steven Anderson? I get it was cover 2, but you weren't on anybody on that side of the field, and they just got some great blocks. That's a touchdown. And right now we are trailing by 11 points to Central Michigan, who we've never lost to. In season 1, when we couldn't beat anybody else, they were the school we could. And at this point in the game, DeMarcus Perkins has 11 rushes for 16 yards. He's never been shut down like this before, and there's no lanes on this one. So we're on another 3rd down where we're going over to Jackson McGowan for the first, and that's big. I'm going to be looking back in his direction up the seam on this play, but they stuck with him nicely, so we're going to Anthony Weber instead, and we're going to hit him with a little bit of play action next, but that was a bad idea. I figured that stuff would start to work since we run the ball so much, but it really hasn't been. And here on 3rd and 10, we're going to see what those zones play. That was a very tight window, but Thomas Jones held onto the ball, and the converted fullback kept this drive alive for a little bit longer, where running the ball actually just paid off. A face mask penalty puts us inside the 8-yard line, so we should be able to reach the end zone, but we need somebody to get open, and they just read that perfectly. We had Clemens open underneath, but it was just a second too late, and we have got to force a safety on Central Michigan if possible, so I am calling timeouts, and you best believe that we are going to run commit. We're we have stopped Mickey Jenkins. That is a much needed safety. And what if we could also get a field goal before the half? That is my hope, but we'd need to get 25 yards in about 5 seconds, which we are going to do. And that was a beautiful throw. This is a 58-yard kick. We have never attempted for one from this far with Myron Cooper, and it is going to be good. You know what? We made up for the interception because we still got 5 points instead of 7, and we could take a lead to start the second half if we're able to score on this drive. But after what happened the last time, I am afraid to run a halfback toss, and come on. In every other game this season, those have worked so well for us, but that's a bad throw, and I didn't even set my feet. I was worried if we took the drag underneath, he would be short of the first down marker, so I waited on another route, which did not pay off, and hopefully Blake Butler doesn't do anything too crazy on this drive. He's already completed one, but that wasn't for a huge gain. We're going to send a blitz in his direction, and it didn't work. The issue is if they get a field goal on this drive, they're going up by 2 possessions, and here on 2nd and 5, it's another run, but we are all over to it. So it is time for a huge 3rd and 7 where Joel Johnson has not generated any pressure, but we should have tackled him short, and it's Mickey Jenkins. As the night goes on, we have got to figure out how to stop this guy, but they just got every block that they needed there, and he has run for a 22-yard touchdown on us. We're also starting this drive inside our own 15-yard line, and that's a sack, so I'm not sure things could get any worse for us as we are really struggling against Central Michigan. And you know what we want to do on 3rd and 2, but it's not going to work. For realistic purposes, we have got to punt this ball. It's only the 3rd quarter. There's still 2 minutes left, and Stewart just picked it up instead of letting it bounce. That is not good. I hate to say it, but we're being outplayed right now. I am crumbling under pressure, and we just got to bring him down, but I missed again. Mickey Jenkins to the crib, and I think the time has come where we actually lose to Central Michigan. Nothing has gone the way that I was hoping it would. We have got to get it out a lot quicker, evidently, and Stephen Arrington's also been ruled out for 3 weeks, so we're going to be missing one of our best wide receivers when we have got to come back, and Anthony Weber's taking care of it. This is the first time this year that Ryan Pace is actually having to throw the ball a lot, and that was almost underthrown into a pick, but it wasn't one, so the drive stays alive. We need people to pick up blocks the way they're supposed to, and that was almost another. That safety back there has been a ball hawk all day, and they are all over us. So it is 3rd and 5 where we hit him with a little bit of play action. The blocks are picked up, and thankfully Hicks got open underneath for the first. To be honest, I'm just in shock that we are losing by this much to Central Michigan, who's normally one of the worst teams, but evidently they've been recruiting very well to be in this situation, and we need a 20-point 4th quarter comeback. Ryan Wilson is out there on 2nd and goal where he is going to take it in, but our defense has got to stop Mickey Jenkins, and it's taken a lot. I am literally lining up everybody up front, and Small just missed him, so we know what's coming, and this is a very bad play call from them. I don't know why Blake Butler would keep it himself, but they lost 4 yards, and we just missed the tackle on their fullback. He's taking this one to the house untouched. Freddie Matthews just got every single block that he could have possibly wanted, and if we had any chance of a comeback, it probably is not happening at this point. They're able to press us, and I don't think any of our wide receivers can beat them deep. We actually had him, but he was hit as he was throwing, and Perkins not being able to pick up 56 in time is going to hurt us a ton. For showing development purposes, I have to play out this final 4.5 minutes, but the computer doesn't know how to turn on 2 clocks, so that makes it even more irritating because I'm faced with the fact that we have lost to our rivals for the very first time. We're going to need some other teams to beat them if we want to make the MAC championship, because there's still a chance we could do that, and oh my gosh, this is ugly. I don't think it's delusional to think that we could still win the MAC if we're able to win out in conference play, but I just have to wonder who is going to beat Central Michigan, because it sure isn't us, and I just want to run out the clock. DeMarcus Perkins has rushed 21 times for 37 yards, and he went from averaging 7 yards per carry to 2 in this one. I made multiple mistakes that cost us, but even with those, I feel like we couldn't have kept up with them, and it hurts to see Ryan Pace this sad because Mickey Jenkins has finally gotten a win over us, and this is what the Michigan MAC rivalry standings look like, which hurts to see, but we're still having a very good season. So of course we have to take on 4-2 Buffalo next, but they've lost twice, and this is a visit week for multiple players like fullback Josh Hartman. We also just landed Jaron Snyder and Robert Smith over Michigan State, so we need to carry that momentum into this game, and it's nice to see that we're favored to win. We're going to need to get a lot of sacks if we want to land some of the players visiting, and just like Northern Illinois, Buffalo also has a big 3 on offense, so I'm a little worried going into this one, but it looks like it's going to be a night game with a ton of rain, and the weather is set up perfectly for us to have a massive running game, but the same could be true for them as George Cunningham is already getting a big gain. Rodney Cronin is not going to bring him down, and that one is going to the crib. Well, we have got to respond back because I was not thinking they'd score so quick, and we are going to get our rushing attack going as well, feeding this one to Ryan Wilson, who needs speed, but because our running backs are still getting into some rhythms, we couldn't take advantage of those holes, and I cannot believe that Buffalo has already scored on us, but I guess it'll be alright. It's 3rd and inches where Perkins should easily get the first down for us, but it's Ryan Wilson, and I didn't even notice it was him out there. He should see the open space on this one, where we just continue to have success when it comes to running the ball on Buffalo. This drive has been extremely satisfying because we haven't had to pass it once, and at some point we probably will, but we continue to get great blocks, and we are less than 20 yards away from reaching the end zone. But we have got to convert on this 3rd and 3 where Ryan Pace is going to truck somebody over. Even our senior quarterback is running like he's a running back, and we have got to get closer to the goal line on this 2nd down play. But even though we did, I think it would be better if we passed the ball, and we're going over to Ernie Hicks, who holds on for the first catch and our first touchdown. Our drive took a lot more work than it's taken Buffalo, but we scored, and I'm assuming that the run is coming here, but that's when they fake you out with some play action. So that was impressive from Lorenzo Harris. Now they're handing this ball off to Lance Hill, and the wide receiver has moved the chains for them as well. George Cunningham gets this handoff, and he is just too quick to stop. I don't know what has happened to our defense. It was used to getting so many stops, and I've been testing out using the spin move off of getting the carry, but it doesn't work for us every time. As going into the 2nd, it's 3rd and 11, and I hope we can open up this quarter the right way, going to Ernie Hicks. Whenever we've had to pass the ball in this game, it's worked out, but we are still trying to run the ball down their throats, and on this play, we're not getting anywhere. I hope that this wide receiver screen on 3rd down to Anthony Weber works, and we've gotten some amazing blocks. Does he have the speed to take this to the house himself? I guess not, but we still got like a 35-yard gain out of it, and that's some good blocks from our wide receivers on this play. At this rate, they've got to be expecting the run, so we're going to pass it to Dante Moss, and he didn't even have a chance to finish that route before we slung it in his direction, so I'm glad that that worked out for us, but we have got to figure out how we're going to stop Buffalo. Their rushing attack has been our biggest issue, so I'm not as concerned when they want to pass, but they've made this a 3rd manageable where the halfback draw was still an option, and cover 2 is not going to work against 4 verticals, unfortunately. That's bad. They've gotten all the way down inside our red zone again, and they're going to the 5, so it would seem as if they're about to reach the end zone on us. And right now, we are in a shootout that is going back and forth. I can use play action because we've run so much, and I wonder if anybody is ever going to get a stop. Ryan Pace juking players, which is something that you would never expect to see. This one going over to DeMarcus Perkins should get us at least 10, and I'm going to be honest, I want to see Ryan Wilson out there because I know his speed could be very effective in these situations as well. There he is. We're going to hit him with the halfback draw, and that did not look good. So we've got to switch it up on 2nd and 11, and we have somebody open in the end zone. Once again, it is Ernie Hicks that is able to reel the ball in, and we've left Buffalo a minute 20 to score, but they have to pass it instead of running on us. So I'm expecting us to get a defensive stop versus them, and we are all over everything. We kind of need zone coverage to do the trick, and that's going underneath, so they're not getting any massive gain out of that. 3rd and 5, and Fred Miller just can't keep up. There's nothing we could have done there. They executed that perfectly, going for another 7, and I just want to say that we've gotten a stop at some point, but I'm not sure if it's going to happen until right here when Steven Anderson intercepted it. We could return it as well. I just spun that guy out. I was not sure if I wanted to do it, but it worked out. So we have forced the first turnover, and we are going to try and score with 28 seconds left in the half. Dante Moss dropped our first pass though, and you know what? Let's just be smart. Unless this goes for a big gain, then we can reevaluate and go for more. But that wasn't the right move either, because Buffalo is literally taking timeouts trying to get it back, and Perkins is going to take this past the 40. We still have time to get into field goal range, especially if they run man-to-man, and I wasn't going to go for it, but Buffalo called a timeout. Anthony Weber goes nowhere, so now we need to get as many yards in a few seconds as possible, and the fullback dive has set up a 58-yarder for Myron Cooper, but I missed that badly. They're even trying to return it, but there's simply no way that this works out for them. Come on, boys. Let's just go into the half tied up at 21, and here in the 3rd quarter, we can go back to having success offensively, but they were prepared to stop that run, and Perkins is going to have to go for more. Midway through the year, he's already set a school rushing record, and that feels crazy to say, but he is the best running back in school history. I told you all just a few games into this year that he was going to be that for us, and on 2nd and 6, it looks like Buffalo was ready for the run, so it is 3rd and 7 for us where we had that drag underneath, but I didn't take it, and I'm going to regret that decision. I got greedy and hoped that the corner route could get us a bigger gain, but all we had to do there was move the chains. This punt's not going well, and hopefully that's a mistake that we can learn from, but that doesn't cost us the game. It took both teams a while, but our defenses are starting to actually step up, and here on 3rd and 4, they're passing, but they hit us with the run, and that was not fooling anybody. Alright, it's time for a new set of downs where this goes nowhere, and they're clearly anticipating the run versus us now, so we're going to go for the pass, but that didn't work. So it's going to be 3rd and long where this is man-to-man coverage, and that couldn't get out in time. We had multiple things open, but we were waiting for the development on the deep post. Again, the deep routes are not going to go in our favor. We need to take the check down, and that almost stopped on the 1-yard line, but it didn't. Here on 1st and 10, it's no quarterback draw. He's just going to take the drag, and we can expect them to hand it off on this next play for the 1st. But the real question is what they do on the one after that, and Drew Flynn is not going to make the tackle well. He'd slow him down, but he still got like 8 yards on us, and recently we have always started well but struggled mid-season, so we can't let that happen again this year. And here on 2nd and 13, I see both of those routes open for like the 50th time. I'm gonna have to use her over the middle because our zones are not playing the way that they should, and I don't know why they're playing them so soft, but we sent a blitz in and it did not get in time. If we're gonna send heat like that, it's got to be a lot quicker, and Cunningham could get his 4th touchdown here. So I'm glad that we stopped him for the time being, but we got to keep it up. And on 2nd and goal, I thought they were about to run again, but this is a pass where some route bounce is definitely about to hurt us. We are so close to them only getting a field goal, but none of these slants can be open, and we forced it out. I was there, but I didn't get a pick animation, so we're fortunate the wet ball's hard to hold on to, and our offense has got to start getting things going again on the ground. I trust in Perkins to figure it out here in the 4th, but it is another 3rd down situation, and Jackson McGowan got open. Thankfully, he caught it. I don't know what I'm expecting out of Perkins since he has been struggling, but I'd also say part of it has to do with he hasn't been getting as good blocks. And here at midfield, the good old triple option is going to lead to us pitching it over to Ryan Wilson, spinning for the 1st. And if he would not have done that, we definitely wouldn't have gotten a new set of downs. Perkins got 4, but he's got to be exhausted at this point, so we're going to give him a break by passing it to Ernie Hicks, who's had a fantastic game. And it turns out we're not missing Steven Arrington as much as I thought we might be. Worst case scenario, what we're going to do is settle for a field goal and go to overtime. So that's why we have run the clock down before snapping this ball, and Perkins is going to have to get all of it here, but he was not able to do so. And I've been playing a lot more passive this season, but I'd say that's because we have a lot more to lose with this talented team. And oh no, if we are not careful, they could actually get into field goal range on us. And they have 6 seconds to get to around the 40-yard line, but it looks like they're just going to go for the Hail Mary instead, which needs to be intercepted. It is by Andrew Monroe. So we're headed to overtime, and we're on defense first. Let's see what they do on 1st and 10, just a handoff. And I'm expecting the same type of thing on 2nd down where we are all over it, but Cunningham's able to break that tackle. Are you kidding me? He's taking it to the house. He just won a 2v1 versus 2 of our best defensive players, and I'm starting to think that we should have been a bit more aggressive. If we get the right look, I'm going to have to go for the 2-point conversion when we reach the end zone, and I think I'm going to have to make that decision very quickly. This is the play that always has worked for us, but just in case they lock it up, I have Ernie Hicks on a slant, and I didn't take it to him. Perkins is going to have to make his way to the end zone, but they tackled him short, and we just lost our 3rd game. George Cunningham destroyed us, and I can't bench Ryan Pace because he played amazing, but what is it going to take for this team to get over the hump? We've got a lot to reflect upon during our bye week, and we were able to land a few more commits, which I guess is cool, but I want players like Josh Hartman, William Van, and Danny King to commit, and it's a good thing that 3 of our last 5 matchups are against our rivals. That gives us something to look forward to, because as of right now, Central Michigan's probably going to win our division, but if Western could beat them, that would change everything, and it's time for week 2 in the Michigan-MAC rivalry. Wow, I was not expecting Central Michigan to be trailing with a minute remaining, but if they don't pick up this 4th and 1, it could all be over, and that's it. Blake Butler didn't know what to do there, and we can still win the Michigan-MAC rivalry. In order to do that, we have to win out, but we're favored to beat Eastern Michigan, who's only taken down Drake and won at Toledo, and they're also dealing with a ton of injuries, so hopefully we can bounce back, because in order to make a bowl, we still need to win 2 games, and they have the ball first, where they're going to hand this one off to Mattard, and this is how the last 3 games have started, with big runs. Steven Anderson is not going to bring him down, but what causes all of these teams to gash us on the opening play? Robert Davis isn't going anywhere, and he looks lost for a sophomore. We shot in the gap with Drew Flynn, but it didn't work out, so it is 3rd and 5 for them, where we have sent 4 players, and that is going to lead to them getting a field goal. I'm pretty happy with how our defense did there, and I think at some point we have got to start adding some more stands into the stadium, but what am I even doing starting the game off by not running the ball? Because now it is 3rd and 14, where we need Ryan Pace to throw it over to Dante Moss, and this is the first time that he's had a big play in a long time, but he could almost take it to the house by himself. What a play. We are very lucky that he was able to come up clutch for us like that. Now we're getting some good blocks. Perkins spins in, and DeMarcus Perkins is such a great player. We're not going to talk about the missed extra point because I might have simmed it, but we'd been making them as of recently, and I just expect Myron Cooper to put it away. There is nobody in the vicinity of Robert Davis, which is pretty concerning, but it's still early in this game. On 1st and 10, they're going for the deep shot, and they just took the check down, but it still resulted in a 1st down, and I'm going to go back to running some man coverage, but it didn't even get to go to work because they're just running the ball, and they better not pick up this 3rd and 9. I'm expecting us to stop them short, so we are going to force them to punt, and I'm a little surprised that they didn't play it a bit more aggressively by going for it, but it makes it easier on us because I didn't want to have to stop them again. And on 3rd and 4, they have man-to-man coverage over there, so we're going to go to Steven Arrington, who's healthy. We have not seen him on the field in a long time, and it is right back to DeMarcus Perkins, who takes this handoff for what should have been more than just a few yard gain, but maybe he'll get faster this offseason, and I can't wait to see what we can do with him and Brian Johnson next year. That was such a bad play from Ryan Pace. What am I thinking? Oh my gosh. That is why I don't run the option. I really don't even want to talk about it, because we just gave them a gift as they're going to get at least a field goal here. And yes, I'm human. I make mistakes, but that is not the one that you want to see on this game. Something was always bound to happen there, though, and they're going to get this one over to East for another nice one. Conception just got destroyed, and it's right back to handing it off to Perkins, who isn't going to get much. I feel like focusing on the run has definitely helped us, but there are times where it also hurts, because like now we're in a 3rd and 9 situation where Dante Moss was thankfully able to get open on the corner route, and he looks extremely quick, even though he's got 87 speed. I thought the same thing when he made that big play early on in the game. Perkins takes this handoff for what looks like a first, and Dante Moss is probably just sick of not getting the ball, but this year we have committed to being a run-heavy school, which has worked out in our favor, at least early on in the season, because as of recently it's been rough, but I expect things to get better again, and Perkins is going to have a touchdown. Here I am kicking the extra point this time, and if they run the ball, our defense would get caved open, but thankfully they passed instead. Here on 2nd and 6, I only sent 2 at the quarterback, but it should result in a sack anyway, so it is now 3rd down where I am guarding that hitch over the middle. He throws it off of his back foot, and it could have been picked. Steven Anderson did drop the ball, but we still get it back anyway, so I'm not too worried about it, and with this halfback sweep play, Perkins is going to get the outer edge for 15 yards. Even if it's felt like a slow first half for him, he has 53 yards and 2 touchdowns. He's going to get multiple good blocks here, and this might be a house call if we could get that last guy stopped, but he still got us really far, and now it's on Ryan Wilson to come in and finish it off, but he couldn't get anywhere there, and with this counter run, he is going to try and beat one of these defenders. We might as well juke inside for the first, and then let Perkins get his 3rd touchdown of the day. We had that one mistake, and we're still going to go into the half with a 10-point lead on Eastern Michigan, so I've got absolutely nothing to complain about, and I'm excited to see what Perkins can do here, but I'm telling you, they are swarming to stop the run because they know that he wants to do something. He's going to spin that player out to get the first, and I feel like I'm starting to get really good with that spin move. Now we can go with a read option with Ryan Pace, and I don't think he can spin the same. He can't juke either, but he's done everything that we've asked him to this year, and we could have gotten better blocks there, but it's not the end of the world that we didn't, because on 3rd and 7, we're going with our drag to Dante Moss, and I should have gone to the corner route instead. There's been other plays in past games where I have passed up on taking the drag route because of that, but I wanted to give it a shot, and that's why I don't, but it should be fine since we're dominating. And here with 4 minutes left in the 3rd quarter, they're not running, they're trying to scramble with Davis, but originally they wanted to pass, and we had everything clamped up as we forced a 3rd and 1, which is going to result in another stop. Our defense is doing great, and if Dante Moss can just hold his blocks here, this run could go for a lot, which it might be able to. Perkins is going to get around both of those tackles, thankfully, and I know that those halfback toss plays are risky, but sometimes they pay off. Right now he's averaging like 9 yards a carry, so it makes sense for us to keep going back to him on this drive, but eventually they're going to shut down DeMarcus Perkins, so we've got to pass it, and Ryan Pace is 5 for 6, so that's been solid too. On 2nd and 11, we've got a guy motioned over to hopefully help pick up some blocks, but they've gotten pretty good at predicting when we're going to run the ball, and we're going for the corner route. Will their corner make a play on that? He won't. This placement from Ryan Pace is why Brian Johnson isn't starting right now, and I'm going to take a timeout because I think Perkins deserves to be in to get his 4th touchdown. He's already gotten himself the school record, but I want to make it memorable as we take down our rivals at home, and I can't believe how much Eastern Michigan has fallen off after Deion Brown graduated. They also lost their starting quarterback, so they're missing quite a bit on this team, but I still assumed that it would be a close contest, and ever since halftime, I have felt like we've been in the driver's seat for this one. Let's see what they take on this, and they're just trying to scramble with their quarterback. I guess Robert Davis has been there for more than just this season, but Eastern Michigan also had somebody before him that gave us a ton of issues. I'm forgetting now, and I guess they could still make a late comeback on us if we're not able to clamp up, but there's only 5 minutes remaining, so they have to do something quick if they're going to do something, and that's kind of getting close to the end zone. Joe Small did his best, but his best was not enough for Eastern Michigan, except it did set up that touchdown run pretty nicely, and I expected them to go for the onside kick, but they kicked it deep to us instead, so now we can just focus on draining the clock as quick as possible, and here on 3rd and 2, we need our blocks to hold, but they don't. This is not great as they've been able to save all 3 of their timeouts, so I guess they're technically not out of it yet. Rivero's going to catch this ball and take it on the kick return to about our 40, and we will see what they do on this drive. Robert Davis passing the ball has worked out for them, so I'm starting to get a little bit nervous that they're putting the pressure on us to come back, and he's running for this 1st down now. I wish we could just stop them and get them off the field to end it, where it is now 2nd and 8, and we stop the drag underneath, but Robert Davis is going to look to scramble. We're going for the sack, and somehow he got the ball out there. 3rd and goal now. They went with the 4 verticals. We have zones all over everywhere, but they decided to stop guarding Donald Wheatley, so we had to recover this onside kick, and now in order to end the game, we have to get at least 1 first down. Perkins is fighting, but he still needs about 6 more yards, and I don't think he can get the outer edge on this. I think we should pass here instead of handing it off. The corner route is open. That's going to be caught, and Dante Moss has sealed it. It was a risky move, but it's going to pay off for us in the end because we can go back to taking QB be Niels, and we could still very well win the Michigan MAC rivalry. All it's going to take is us beating Western Michigan, and with Ryan Pace playing like this, I think we can do that. Obviously, DeMarcus Perkins and Dante Moss did well too, so I'm excited to see how it all plays out, and there's still a slight chance that we could find ourselves in the MAC championship, but our bigger focus is the Michigan MAC rivalry, where remember, the three-way tiebreaker is whoever has the best overall record at the end of the year. So with Central Michigan taking this one, we have to finish with a better record than them, and as of right now, we both have 3 losses, but the Broncos are favored over us, and I just hope that we can pull this one off. Well, it looks like weather's not going to be an issue, which is kind of unfortunate because I was hoping for a snow game, but it's all good. Here on 1st and 10, they're not going anywhere, and I'm hoping that we're able to start this game off the right way. They're just going to get a few yards on this one, so we could force a 3 and out, and I'm trying to get into that hole with Rodney Cronin, but he just pushed him forward. I don't think we've seen Clayton McDonald's name before. He must be a new running back for them, and he is breaking a lot of tackles, but I want to win the war on Route 131. Steven Anderson is all over that slant, and come on, boys. It's been the answer versus a lot of different teams, but maybe man-to-man coverage won't beat Western Michigan, and we're 1 game away from making a bowl with this team, so we got to figure it out, but that didn't work either. I think our next best option is just send a blitz and pray, where they decided not to pitch the ball, so we're holding the Broncos to a field goal, and this one looks like it's just far enough. It's nice to know that their kicker doesn't have a very strong leg, though. Ryan Wilson's taking the first handoff for 15 or 20 yards, and it is very rare that we ever have that much success to open up a game, but that's a good sign for what our rushing attack should be like. And on 3rd and 4, my first read is going to be Perkins, where he is open for the first, but it's dropped. So that's not how I imagine this first drive ending, but we could pin them back with this punt, and that's what we do. There's still so much time left, so it's not worth getting upset about, and I'm ready to lock in on this drive. I'm over here with Matt Small, making sure nothing gets open in the man-to-man coverage, but they are going to get a route bounce on that side of the field to Hill, which is very unfortunate. He's also breaking a tackle, and the only thing we could do differently is send more pressure at them, but they just instantly passed it back in his direction. So it's like they know when I want to send more heat, and again, they get the ball out so quick on us. Well, all of a sudden, we are trailing 10-0, so I'm not happy about it, especially since we already got blown out by Central Michigan, which was really embarrassing, and I know if they start to stop our run on this drive, things could go bad for us, but Perkins is going to get it to midfield, and while he rests on this next play, we're going to try and hit him with the pass to the corner route where Ryan Pace delivers it to Anthony Weber. So I'm liking how our offense looks on this drive so far. Ryan Wilson went nowhere though, and that takes us to the end of the first quarter. The war on Route 131 is a big deal. I'm pretty sure that we've only won this game like 1 time. This one's going to Dante Moss for the first down, but he spun multiple guys out there, and that has become a staple of this team, using it to get around defenders, and Perkins might be able to get all the way to the house, but even though they stopped him short, we're still extremely close, and it's about time he scores another touchdown. I don't know how many he has this year, but my guess would be like 15, and on 2nd and 11, it's a halfback screen where we're going to get right over to it with Drew Flynn, so it is 3rd and long now, and there is simply no way that they're going to get this on us. Our defense has gotten us the ball back and in a pretty good position as well. With this one block, we're able to get at least 10 or 15 yards here, and DeMarcus Perkins is off to an amazing start in this game. Right now, he's averaging like 8 yards per carry, but now we have to make sure that we pick up this 3rd and 1. Ryan Pace hands it off, and he isn't going to. I feel like our best option is to pass on 4th down here now that we weren't able to get it, and it didn't work out. So Western Michigan has stopped us, and that's very frustrating, but it's all right. We can hold them too. They're not going to stop us from clinching a bowl game because we're so close. And here on 3rd and 6, I'm just going to use her over the middle with Flynn, where all of our zones are covering it, so they have to punt it back to us again. And it is time for DeMarcus Perkins to shine, where he got some good blocks on this play, but he only got a few yards. Sometimes I don't hit the holes the right way, and Ernie Hicks is going to have to catch this, but it's not enough to move the chains, as it is 3rd and 3, and I went to the outside with DeMarcus Perkins because I knew he had to do it to get it, but that could have backfired really badly for us. Whenever you're playing football, you never want to find yourself in a situation where you're running backwards. Anthony Weber is going to juke both of those players out, though. What a move by the junior, I think, and he's getting inside the red zone. There's still 45 seconds left in the half, so we want to make sure that we don't score too quickly, but somebody was open there, and we're throwing this on the run over to Holmes. That's not the type of game that Ryan Pace likes to play, so I wasn't sure what he was doing there, but with DeMarcus Perkins punching it in, we are now up by 4 points on Western Michigan, and how are they getting a first? I just don't want to see them get into field goal range. Joel Johnson's actually struggled a lot, and I wish the sophomore got as many sacks as he did last year, but Drew Flynn is going to read the halfback screen like a book, and we are going to take that one to the crib to end the first half. The sophomore middle linebacker just came up with a great play, and it is about time that we started to do well against them. We are on pace to win the war on Route 131, and we also start the 3rd quarter with the ball, which is honestly so nice. They probably think we're going to hand it off again, but we're actually hitting them with the halfback slip screen to Perkins, and they were all over that from the start, so we need to pick up all 10 yards here on this 3rd and 10, and I don't think that's going to happen. Dante Moss couldn't even catch the ball, and I panicked, but at least we didn't turn the ball over. Now with this punt, they're going to catch it perfectly to Hester. Please don't be a Devin Hester type of player. We need to make a tackle on him. And I'm sure that they're going to start this drive with a run, but their quarterback has kept it, and we could have tackled him for a loss if we were better. Even Anthony Browning looks surprised to still have that ball, and my guess is he's handing this off on 3rd and short, but he actually decided to pass it. So Western Michigan has a new set of downs, and with this jet sweep, we're making the tackle. 2nd and 11, Steven Anderson is ready to penetrate that hole, but we didn't have to. Instead, they're just going to run it up the middle, and they're going to the 2. To make matters worse, one of our players jumped off sides, so that's not what you want to see. And add 0 control over it. We're just going to run commit, but they pitch it to McDonald. So they've gotten it back within a possession, and it no longer feels like we're in control of this one, but maybe we could be if Perkins broke it off. Could you imagine if we had been Fowler with the offensive line that we have on this team now compared to what we had back then? Like, we never truly got to use his speed because we weren't that good. And it is now 3rd and 3 where I have a route on this play that I always trust to get open where Anthony Weber comes away with it. The pressure was on there, but we have now gotten the ball past midfield, and we're just going to continue to pound it with Perkins, but that did not work. It is another 3rd and 9 situation with man-to-man coverage, which isn't an issue, and they've shown some resistance with their defense, but they haven't gotten us off of the field. So we're just going to continue to push it, and with this run to DeMarcus Perkins, that is another 7 or 8. I don't think they understand that we could literally do this on every single play, and it looks like we're going to end the 3rd quarter with a run here to Ryan Wilson for like 5. We might as well snap it one more time since Perkins liked the look, and that's a tutty. So instead, we're ending the 3rd quarter up 11, and that really puts the pressure on Western Michigan. So we'll see how they respond, and this is a Wildcat play call. Interesting. I would have never predicted that that was the play they drew up. Steven Anderson's going to have to make a hit, and here they are on a 3rd and 4 where they are not going to get by David Conception. That is beautiful man-to-man coverage, and I am so glad that we're going to have our sophomore corner for many more years. It's a good thing that this old game does not have a realistic transfer portal because we would be losing so many players, and I don't know how they're going to balance that in the new game this summer to keep it realistic. Each team loses like 10 players on average to the transfer portal every season, so if you're trying to do a rebuild, that could be very frustrating, and we'll just have to see what EA does with it. On this 2nd and 12 run, Perkins is going to actually go for the 1st down. He shouldn't have gotten that plus more, but sometimes he's able to create holes that weren't there in the first place, and we're just going to continue to hand it off. There's only a couple minutes remaining in this game, so Western Michigan has to take timeouts, and if we are able to reach the end zone, that would pretty much end it, where Perkins is going to get himself another one. I am so upset at the fact that he's a junior because I would love to have a player of his caliber for 4 years, but I guess if we're able to win a bowl game, we could start to recruit players like that, and we'll see if they take the deep shot. But instead, they let Brad Jones get the sack, and at this point, we are just padding stats against Western Michigan. They are going to get a nice game, but I want to get some more experience with our defense anyway, and that was a good hit. We're going to try to rush the quarterback with Joel Johnson on 2nd and 5, but we might get the pick with Rodney Cronin. He never catches balls like these, but he is going to come away with it, and I think he is also going to take this one to the house. We have gotten 2 pick sixes in this game versus our rivals, and it feels really good to win the war on Route 131. Of all the Michigan schools, they're our biggest rivals because they're only an hour down the road, and we just put up some incredible stats versus them. The Mastodons are going to be celebrating all the way back to Grand Rapids, and DeMarcus Perkins had another 4-touchdown game. He's been having some Heisman level performances as of recently, and Ryan Wilson's been a good backup, but the fact that we got 3 different interceptions is just beautiful, and it's amazing that we have clinched a bowl with 3 games left on our schedule. There's also now a 3-way tie for the Michigan-MAC rivalry, so whichever one of our 3 colleges finishes with the highest record will win that trophy, and I'm honestly praying on Central Michigan's downfall. We need them to lose a game so bad, especially if we want any chance of making the MAC championship, so I'm pumped up that the Huskies won by 18, with Lawrence McLaughlin rushing for almost 200 yards, but we don't hold the tiebreaker over Buffalo or Central Michigan, so since they play in the final week, we can't make the MAC championship. However, we can win the Michigan-MAC rivalry, and to do so, we just have to win out, but there's never any easy games, so I'm sure that Toledo's going to give us some issues, especially in the snow, and I love playing in weather like this sometimes because it is a lot of fun, but we've got to stop the run in it. I'm not going to lie, I did create a Michigan school just so we could play in the snow a lot though, and what an interception from Rodney Cronin. He just warped over to that ball to take it, and this is the start that we needed. I'm hoping that we can go up by a lot so we can start to develop Brian Johnson, because we've yet to have a game this season where our backups got to play, but they have already gotten us to a 3rd and goal, and that is going to result in a touchdown. Toledo might have a hard time versus us. At least that will be my assumption based off of what we saw on that first drive from them, and I can guarantee that we aren't going to have any mercy either, but we will see what happens. Here on 3rd and 8, there's simply no way that we're going to allow them to convert here, so we have already gotten the ball back again, and I can see why they're 2 and 8. We might as well let Ryan Pace try and throw it again, but they're forcing the sack, so even though we are a very run-heavy team, play action still doesn't work for us, and that inaccurate ball was almost picked, but but we have to focus up because I don't think this is going to be as easy of a win as we're hoping that it might be. And that early interception just has us playing extremely confident versus Toledo, but now we're giving up a huge deep play to them. We can't make the tackle, and that's going to tie it back up at 7. I wanted to open up the playbook, and I wanted to test out our sophomore quarterback, but I was thinking too far ahead because, again, Toledo could very well put up a good fight against us, and we have work to do against them. Until we go up by 21 points on a team the rest of the year, I'm not going to start acting like I did on that last drive because I didn't keep it simple, and when we don't keep it simple, we don't succeed. I have a feeling that we'll have more success the second time with the read option where Ryan Pace just juked that defender out, and I wish he didn't have 58 speed because I think he'd be a decent runner. It all works out though because we just handed off to DeMarcus Perkins instead, and he's taking us down the field where we are trying to reach the end zone, but I just hesitated, and that's bad. It took me almost no time to realize that we were taking a sack, and that is not how you want to end the first quarter because we're most likely settling for 3, but maybe we'll have a miracle play on 3rd and 18 where we go over to Stephen Arrington, and he hasn't had a great senior year, but when we use him, he is so consistent. Another player that hasn't touched the ball as much as he should is tight end Jackson McGowan, and here on 3rd and goal, Perkins is going to take this one into the end zone, so that is another touchdown that he can add to a season total, and at this rate, he might be going for a MAC conference record, but we have got to stop Jason Wilson, Toledo's quarterback, and he looks a lot quicker than I was expecting him to be. This time we are prepared to stop the run with players all around, and Steven Anderson is going to fill up that hole to stop the run if needed, but Wilson kept it. Every matchup is so tight, but we are getting over to that halfback screen, and that allowed Joel Johnson to get a sack, which is the first one he's gotten in like 6 weeks, so it was about time he did something. We're going to run the read option again because Ryan Pace, every time he's kept it, has done pretty solid, and that's set up a 3rd and manageable that we can pick up with the run where he is going to keep this too. I'm very happy that you all decided to start him for his senior year instead of going with Brian Johnson because I don't think we would have achieved everything that we have so far if we had a sophomore quarterback. And here on 3rd and 4, I just want to take our drag underneath because it is wide open. It is reeled in by Stephen Arrington for a 20-yard gain, and I just noticed that there was only a minute left in the half, so we have got to start to keep an eye on the clock, but it might not matter if Perkins is able to take this one to the house on this play, and it is too bad that he is not a little bit quicker because that'd be nice, but we are still about to score again, and that's man-to-man coverage. That was a very solid first half of football, and right now we are on pace to see some of our younger guys develop, but if we want to see people like Brian Johnson get in, we're going to have to continue to play this way, and DeMarcus Perkins just had a great juke. To be honest, that should have been a touchdown, but he just doesn't have breakaway speed, but he can fight for extra yardage, and he is now over the 100-yard mark. We're going to run the option to perfection to Ryan Wilson, who's going to back juke there, and we might as well mix in a pass because we don't do it as often as we should. Dante Moss caught it, and if he wasn't intercepting them knocking away that ball, I think we could have had a touchdown as well. Right now, our confidence is through the roof versus them. I shouldn't have done that spin move. It was very unnecessary, but I've had so much success with it. I'm just waiting to hit it on every single play, and that was some of the best vision that we've ever seen out of a running back, which sets up the perfect fullback dive for Luis Miller, and I just don't see Toledo moving the ball on us. I really don't. They had that one drive where we were really stupid, but that's about it. They're going to get a nice little gain here, but it is still 3rd and 3, and we sent a blitz in where their quarterback's panicking. He's running around, and we're going to hit him short. If we can score one more touchdown and get another stop, it's Brian Johnson time, and he should be our starter next year, though we do have the freshman as well. I liked how Pat Smith's stats looked, but he might end up being much worse, so we'll see how development goes at the end of this video during the offseason portion. And on 2nd and 8, it looked like they were pressing our wide receiver, which is a terrible idea. Stephen Arrington's running right by the defense, and I cannot believe how out of hand this has gotten for us, but we are doing so well. Joel Johnson racks up another sack, and I don't know what you want Toledo to do because there's honestly nothing they can. That's another one from Joel Johnson, and we will see if he can get one more on this play. They are going for the deep shot on 3rd and 22, and I cannot believe that they picked that up. We should have played so much more passively there, but we didn't, so we're not going to get to see Brian Johnson out there just yet, and this is another sack or not. Come on. Joel Johnson could have had 4 in this game, but he just sold right there, and they're not going to pick up this 3rd and 8, so we're getting the ball back, but I guess we have to earn it for a little bit longer because they are going for it on 4th and 5, and nobody's on that side of the field, unfortunately. Toledo does not want us to get any experience with Brian Johnson. Wilson is trying to rush for another first. Maybe we can force a big hit on him to fumble, and we all know that they're probably not going to run the ball that much more on us, but to my surprise, they mixed it in there, and then they went right back to it on the next one, which is leading to a touchdown. After recovering the onside kick, I believe it's time to put in the second team offense. So right now, out there on the field, we have Brian Johnson handing the ball off to Ryan Wilson, who's going to get at least 5 or 6, and we should be mixing in the option runs with him because he is a much faster quarterback who gets 10, but even though he has like 80 speed, he's just never felt that quick in game, and that's why I might consider going with the freshman quarterback, because if Johnson doesn't improve, they're going to be about the same game overall, and this is a nice run from him. Pat Smith is watching from home, hoping that he gets the starting job anyway, and that's going to be a big decision because whoever it is will be the face of our program for a couple of years. That was awesome to see all of that success from our second string offense, showing that we have some depth, but there's a chance that our second string defense could get shredded by Toledo, and when it comes to stopping the run, that front three has had zero success so far, but they should be passing anyway. There's only like 45 seconds left in the game, and that's out of bounds. I want to get Brian Johnson one more possession because he never had an opportunity to throw the ball, but we are going to give up a huge play, and Toledo's actually taking timeouts, so they are really trying to score. I guess we're all just trying to get experience now, especially at this point in the year when they're going to be sitting at 2-9, so they don't have much to play for. We still have the Hilltoppers, Wolverines, and a bowl game on our upcoming schedule though, so that's really exciting, and we're going to see if Brian Johnson can throw this corner out, but it's out of bounds. We should probably just go ahead and knee it out, taking our win versus Toledo where we doubled their score, and Ryan Pace deserved player of the game. He didn't throw for that many yards, but he had no turnovers, 90% completion percentage, and our rushing attack and receiving also looked good, which I guess was enough to get somebody like Danny King to commit to our school. We're still in battles for these three guys, but I think we can win them all over in the off season, and I wish we could make the MAC championship, but no matter what happens in this matchup, we're not going to, but I am curious who's going to get there out of our division, and it's Central Michigan. Right now, the prediction is that we're going to get Wyoming in a bowl game again, but I'm rooting for something different, and we're supposed to beat the Hilltoppers, but they always give us a fight, and after a slow start, they've started to win more of their games. I've learned that you never have it easy versus them, especially since we have to play at their home stadium, and the most wins that we have ever gotten in a season has been 7, so we could break that record. We only got 5 last year, so this has been amazing to bounce back this way. Walker is going to be rushing for a big gain on us though. He's tough to stop, and we will see what we can do versus him. He's going to keep this one as well, rushing for 5, so I'm starting to think that we need a quarterback spy out there on every single play against them, and it's crazy that this Western Kentucky team isn't that good because they still have a ton of weapons. I'm seeing a lot of familiar names that have destroyed us in previous seasons on this dynasty file, but Jeremiah Coney just decided to run backwards, so I don't know what's happened to him because he used to be really good and this isn't going anywhere. 3rd and 12, they're just going to run the ball and we're stopping it, so that means the Hilltoppers are only getting a field goal, and we are still playing for the Michigan MAC rivalry, so I believe that it's very important we do not lose this game versus them, and I just know that we're probably going to struggle because we've never had it easy versus Western. They've already gotten us to a 3rd and 12 where we're going to take our hitch route, but I'm not sure Steven can make it there, and they just forced us to one of the quickest 3-and-outs we've experienced all year with this punt not going where I wanted it to. They're picking it up, and they're also going to run it past midfield going to our 45, so that is extremely frustrating to see. On this play, they're going to bomb us for a 30-yard gain, and David Conception's had a lot of good moments, but he looked terrible on that play, and Drew Flynn has got to catch that. We have caught a lot more interceptions this year, but there's still some drops, and that's expected, so I think we found a sweet spot with the slider, but you all can make sure to let me know down below. I think they're about to reach the end zone. We ended up run committing, and they passed on us, so it is 10-0 already, and they're shutting down our rushing attack so well. This feels like the Central Michigan game where DeMarcus Perkins had nowhere to go at all, but I'm going to be persistent because it's only been one time this year where we eventually didn't figure it out, but he is laying on the ground hurt, not getting up, and I hope that he is not out for the rest of the year or something like that. We just fumbled it away. They're going to pick it up, and are you kidding? In the span of seconds, our entire offense just collapsed, and that takes us to the end of the first quarter. I don't think things can get any worse for us, but we're going to give them so much time, which leads to another tutty, and we're trying to pass the ball with Ryan Pace where we go over to Jackson McGowan for what looks like 8, but I'm just concerned about where our starting running back is right now. Ryan Wilson is in, and I hope this is not a long-term injury, but it just says the wind is knocked out of him. To be honest, it could have been about 100 times worse, so that is not that bad at all, but we'll see what type of coverage they go with on 2nd and 9. That was man-to-man, so I knew we had to go to Dante Moss, and on 3rd and 1, we are not going to get it with Ryan Wilson, or maybe we are. He gets the outer edge. I wanted the bigger play, but if he would have just run straight forward, we would have had it, and when Luis Miller starts taking handoffs, you know that it is time to start passing again, where this one goes over to Dante. I think I should have focused on bringing in more halfbacks because I'm sure we're going to need them just for the future, but look who is out there on 4th and 1 who's going to take this handoff, and we got the blocks. That was almost really bad. Now that DeMarcus Perkins is back, I trust our offense to finish off this drive with a touchdown. You know he's getting this one, but he is holding his chest again, and I think it's time that we make the decision where he does not see the field for the rest of this game. I want to have him versus Michigan because I think we have an actual chance, and there is no reason to force him out there and hurt himself before our bowl game as well because we're going to need him for that. It's going to be weird to run our offense without him out there on the field, but I noticed that nobody was guarding Jackson McGowan over in the flat, so that'll get us the first down, and we have our tight end on the seam route. Thomas Jones is going to be our starter next year, most likely at least, and it was about time that we started having some success offensively, but where is our defense? They have not showed up to play against the Hilltoppers today. play, which doesn't help us. David Concepcion got burnt by Johnson again. He can't even make the tackle on him, and Antonio Johnson is giving us so many problems. That is not what you want to see, but Dante Moss is open on that part of the field, and it's been so long since we've let Ryan Pace just air it out and see what he can do, but there's a reason for that. We've had a lot more success, and I think his stats at the end of this season are going to look incredibly impressive. At this rate, this has to be 4-down territory, so we're just going to run it with Ryan Wilson on 3rd down instead, and I am hoping for man-to-man coverage because Ernie Hicks is going to run right by number 35 with that route, which I wasn't sure if it would work, but I wanted to test it out, and it did. However, there's something that the refs are challenging, and I don't know what it could be because this was a perfect catch and score with the touchdown. We have given Western Kentucky about 45 seconds to do the same thing to us, though, and look at Johnson again. We literally cannot stop this man, so we're going to have to get out of man-to-man coverage. He just burnt us. Are you kidding? What is the purpose of having a deep zone on that side of the field if Steven Anderson's going to decide that he just doesn't want to play it and they're trying to rush for something? I don't think they're going to get to the end zone here, but it's close, and I think this is going to be the final play of the half. They are hiking it. Let's hope that they don't get in, and that has to be picked. The refs did not give it to him, so I think we've lucked out because that was extremely close to being in, and we are going to take it. We're only behind by 10, so we can easily come back, but I don't see anything, and that's going to be intercepted. I shouldn't have tried to force it to Dante Moss on that play, but I did anyway, and this is why we've leaned heavily on the run, because whenever we don't, stuff starts to not go our way. They're going to shed that tackle with DJ Walker getting to the 3-yard line, and I could not tell you how this Hilltoppers team is 4-7. I knew they were good, but at this point in the year, they're not even playing for anything, and they're still doing this well, but I think it has to be personal because I'm not sure we've ever beaten them, and the fact that they joined the MAC makes the conference so much harder, but Jackson McGowan just created a lot of separation. This is why he's going to be drafted into the NFL at the end of the year, and it's a shame that we haven't utilized him more, but we're going to try to do it on the seam with this one, so that puts it back in the hands of our defense trying to get a stop on the Hilltoppers rushing attack, but Jeremiah Coney just decided he wanted to get a first down on us, and I'm pretty sure if he wanted to, he could simply do that the rest of the game. We have got to figure this out now so Michigan doesn't shred us, and thankfully that was tipped at the line because they probably would have had another touchdown, but instead we are getting the ball back on them, and let's see if Ryan Pace can find Jackson McGowan for the first down. This could very well be the best game that he's had all season, and he only has like 100 receiving yards, so that's kind of sad, but at the same time we just haven't passed the ball that much. The only reason we're doing it now is because we're trailing by 10 points in the 3rd quarter, and Ryan Wilson's alright, but we cannot lean on him for everything. I'm going to try and pull off a miracle play here with the route bounce. We're going to go deep, and it is going to just be swatted down. If I knew that defender was still going to be there, I would not have tested that window, but we still have the ball, so all is good, and Ryan Pace has been running a lot faster, even though he hasn't gone up in speed that much. It's got to be the acceleration at 71 because he only has 57, and I can't wait until we unlock the coordinator boost that make your speed go up, but that's a drop, and you all are really going to hate this play call if it doesn't work, which it did not. Because of that, we have to be smart, taking our 3, getting it within 7, and the halfback pump draw has let us down. We'll see if they try to go for the deep shot again, and it's Johnson coming away with it. This guy has been unstoppable today, and he is by far the best wide receiver we have faced all year, so I'm not sure why our team's taunting him, because that seems like a bad idea. He's probably just going to get another big gain on us, and I'm going to try to send a blitz because I'm scared that they're in field goal range, but they just went with that short pass, and the fact that they're going for it in this short situation tells me that they're not. We have to make the tackle with Goodwin though, and even without our star running back, we are still in this game. 4.5 minutes left on the clock. Passing isn't going to work here, and I should have known better than to have play action there because it is going to cost us. That is so frustrating that our players just didn't block whenever we run it. I don't know why it is that way, but it should work for us, and I'm sure it's got something to do with the sliders that we're using, but we couldn't get over to that screen, so it is now 2nd down where they hit us with another screen play, and we are all over Johnson. I want to make it know that he is 1 yard shy of 200 receiving yards. It looks like they're going with 4 verticals. We get the sack, and it is none other than Joel Johnson on the end of it. We're going to have 2 minutes to score on the Hilltoppers, and that punt did not go far, so it is time to redeem ourselves, and Ryan Wilson is going to take this handoff for what should be a first down, but because of that backspin, it's not, and we're going to hand it off again where there's a lot of green grass over there, but he screwed it up. Now we're going to try and attack the seam, going for the deep shot to Ernie Hicks, but it's going to be picked off, and I'm a little confused because normally that gets open, but for whatever reason, that time with 4 verticals, it didn't, so I'm glad we saved all 3 of our timeouts because we can get the ball back after another one of my stupid mistakes, assuming they don't pick up this 3rd and 15, and that was close. I've already decided that if we reach the end zone, we're just going to go for the 2-point conversion and the win. We need to end this game without our star, and even though he got injured for a 2nd time, he should be good at least for our bowl game, which is really all that matters because that's going to be so important. We're going to take this check down to get the first down with Ryan Wilson, and I really like some of the routes on this play. We're going to see if they get open. Dante Moss did like I expected, but the issue issue is there's still about 40 seconds left, and if we score here, that's going to be it, but we don't get it. I want to say that's on me for trying to fit it into that tight window, but I saw that we had the positioning and their hands just came away with it. This is a loss that shouldn't have happened, and that's going to affect the Michigan-Mac rivalry. Unless we can go out and beat Michigan, Central Michigan has won it, and the Wolverines have lost 6 times, so I want to say that we stand a chance, but it's on the road and they're a 93 overall. However, as I was loading in, I noticed that they were missing their starting quarterback, halfback, and wide receiver, so that makes sense why they've struggled recently, and if we took advantage of that by winning at the Big House, that would be a huge deal. This team is coming off of a national championship, so I'm still surprised that they're 5-6, but they've got so many backups out there, and this backup running back isn't as good as Cabana. 3rd and 5 already. We'll see if we can get the Wolverines off of the field, but I know it's not going to be easy. We have forced a fumble, and what a play from Joel Johnson. Not only did he almost get the sack, but he forced it out. The refs are going to review it to see if he was down first, but it doesn't change a thing because we're still getting the ball, and Perkins is back to being healthy out there on the field. The last time we had a running back as good as him, we put up a fight against the Wolverines, and this feels like a real chance to finally beat them, where you know that we have to be aggressive early on, going for it on this 4th down, but the ball has been tipped, and we probably shouldn't have run it 3 straight times, but I'm not worried about it. We should be okay. Last year at this point in the game, Michigan already had like 14 points, so this is better, but we should have definitely tackled them there, and they don't get it out. I absolutely love these snow rivalry games, but I think we're about to give up something big. Davis isn't going anywhere, and it is now 3rd and 13 where they just go with the halfback draw. We have stopped the Wolverines for a 2nd time already, and we have got to figure out how to move the ball on them. Dante Moss created a lot of separation with that corner out, but I want to be able to run the ball, and I'm afraid it's not going to happen today. DeMarcus Perkins does not look very quick whenever he has to face off against these defenses, and I'm not sure if we can even trust him to get a yard in these situations, so we'll see how the game progresses and what we have to do as it goes on, but I have a feeling that we are going to be passing a lot, and I should have taken that curl route early on, but we're scrambling instead. Once again, this is 4 down territory, so we can just hand it off on 3rd down to Perkins, and Michigan is really stacking the box to stop the run. They're playing it smart because they know if we get it going there, it's going to be hard to get us off the field, and we actually have it on a 1st and goal where Perkins is going to try and juke that guy out, but they are not letting him get a thing, so we're going to hit him with the play action, and that leaves our tight end open. However, one of his teammates got in his way, so it is now 3rd and goal. I'm not sure we're going to actually reach the end zone now, and this is a hard decision to make, but we have got to hand this ball off, and we're going to be stopped short. There is a flag on the play though, and I think it's on us, so Michigan declined it, and we are run committing to stop them in the end zone. We have got to get a safety in this situation. We should be tackling them here, come on, and that's the first points of the game. That's why I was okay with going for it there, because we got 2 points instead of getting 3, and that's not a major difference, especially since we also get the ball back. However, they have us on another 3rd down that we have to get, and the run is not working. Sooner rather than later, we are going to have to start passing. I don't think we're going to get back to this in time either. They actually picked it up before we could even stop it, and come on, bring him down, boys. Why is he still up? It is literally 2-0 with only a couple minutes left in the half, and who would have thought that we would be in the lead against a team like Michigan, especially holding them scoreless. This is a pretty major 3rd and 5 though, so we have to make sure that they're not able to convert upon it, and I think that Fred Miller's going to pick it, but even if he didn't, he swatted it down, so this can be the final drive of the 1st half, and I'm going to give Perkins one more chance to get it going with this halfback toss, but they're too quick. I'm literally chewing the clock right now, so if we don't pick this up, they have no time, but now that we have, we're going to be in a rush if we want to get more than a field goal on this drive, and that's a beautiful throw over to Steven Arrington. Something's not right with this Michigan team because they're not generating any pressure against us. Dante Moss is going to get open and get it inside the 10-yard line, and I am so hopeful that Jackson Magone can get open here, but we just fumbled it away. Are you kidding me? Do not tell me that he's going to get up and run it back. There was literally nothing I could do about that as they got instant pressure on Ryan Pace, and what a halftime score it's going to be. I would have never predicted 2-0, but here we are starting the 3rd quarter with that being the score, and DeMarcus Perkins is clearly not winning this game for us, so we're going to have to do it through the air. We have our tight end, but they're going to make a play on the ball. They intercept it. We can't bring him down, and that changes everything. We would have been better just keeping it on the ground and punting it back to them. Now we're getting stiff-armed into the shadow realm, and that's a touchdown. Michigan is angry as they're also going for the 2-point conversion, but we forced the fumble out. That's what I like to see, and we might as well try to return this as well. We're going to lateral it, and it didn't work. Either way, we have it back now, and we know that we cannot go for a single deep pass against the Wolverines. So if we're going to do anything, I'm going to look underneath, and that's why we have a million drag routes. Well, we're in a 3rd down situation, but I don't think they're sticking with Ernie Hicks. We found some space, and please just get one good run on them. It is going to be so difficult to get on the board if we can't establish the run at all, and our offensive line's not holding up well, so we're just going straight to Anthony Weber with the corner route. They know what's coming here, but we're still going to try and give it to them, and we are inching closer and closer to field goal range, but I don't know if it is in this weather. 3rd and 4 for now. We can't have any stupid turnovers here. We're just going to take our drag. And I almost think it is the smart move to take our field goal because I know that we can drill this, but our defense cannot look as rough as it did on that last drive. And come on, their backup running back should not be knocking out some of our players like he is prime Bo Jackson. Now their quarterback is doing the same thing. And this is Michigan's second string unit that we are not able to stop. That was going to be picked off by David Conception though. They had somebody else open and he is going to take this one back to the house. The sophomore corner should have never gotten targeted there, but the backup made a bad read and we can go up by 7 points if we're able to get this 2-pointer. But sometimes I forget that I'm using a 57 speed quarterback, so it's going to be 11-6. There is some bad news though, and I cannot believe what I just saw pop up as Ryan Pace is out for the rest of the game because of that 2-pointer. I cannot believe it, but we are going to have to win with Brian Johnson, and it is a good thing that he got some experience in our last matchup, but they're about to pick up a big game because nobody knows how to make a tackle. Robbie Woods has started to give us a ton of issues. Now they're going with a third stringer, and the freshman still got 9 yards on our defense. That is going to be a bad tackle attempt, and are you kidding me right now? Who is Benjamin Hall, and why did he just destroy us like that? And can we please prevent them from picking up this 2-point conversion? I can tell their quarterback's about to run. We're all over it. And there is Brian Johnson out there on the field handing this one off to Perkins, who gets like 7. This is going to be an interesting fourth quarter, but I like that we can run the option because that gives us a chance to move the ball on the Wolverines, and nothing else was working for us, but I have a feeling that this could actually do it. We're just going to continue to run the option. Brian Johnson gets a few, and we have 11 first down to Michigan's 3, so we have dominated this game technically, but DeMarcus Perkins isn't getting up, and just like the Wolverines, we are down to our backups. It says he will return soon, but we need somebody in on this 3rd and 2 play that can make it for us, so thankfully we somehow were able to pick that up, and yes, we will be subbing him in. There is too much on the line for us not to have him on this drive, but I'm a little afraid that Brian Johnson is getting too tired, and he has got to complete a pass on this 3rd and 7 where he has an open target. I cannot believe we have moved the chains again, but my fear is they're going to hold us to a field goal, and that's not going anywhere. To make matters worse, Brian Johnson is limping, so freshman Pete Whitmore is out there, and we are literally handing it off and settling for 3. I can't trust him as he'll just have an inaccurate throw, so instead we're going to have to rely on our defense because this is going in, and Michigan's going to have about 2 minutes remaining, so we will see if we're able to clutch up against them. This could be such a big result for our program, and it would be a very, very hard-fought win. So TJ Davis getting his first sack of the season there is so sweet, and we're about to get another. We have forced the ball out. We have picked it up with TJ Davis, and he's going to run to the end zone. Touchdown, Grand Rapids. We are going up by 9 points on Michigan, and the refs are not taking anything away from us. That's awesome. We have suffered injury after injury in this one, but we have played better than the Wolverines, and right now we deserve to have the lead that we do. Davis is going to probably try and scramble again. They're going for a deep shot. We have players on that part of the field. Conception gets his second pick of the day, and he is also going to fumble it, but it's all good. We picked it up. So Pete Whitmore, the freshman, just has to hand the ball off to Perkins, and of course this is now when he starts to have success. I cannot believe that we are down to our 3rd stringer right now, but it doesn't matter because Michigan's down by 2 possessions no matter what, and he's going to take some knees for us in the big house. This has got to be the greatest win in school history, and I still can't believe this pick 6 from David Conception. The sophomore's having a great year because we have finally beaten one of the bigger Michigan teams, and I would have never guessed that it would be the Wolverines first. What a performance from Joel Johnson as well. And this is a matchup that I don't think we will ever forget. I mean, all around our offensive stats were absolutely terrible, so I forgot to even show them. But it worked out because we can still win the Michigan-MAC rivalry as the 3-way tiebreaker goes to the team with the best overall record. So this conference championship result is very important, alongside how they do in their bowl game as well. Obviously, I don't want our rivals to win the MAC before us, so it's nice to see that they didn't, with Ohio winning by 11 points, and Boston College had a player win the Heisman, while Louisville and Oregon made the national championship. Now, I'm a Kentucky fan, so I don't want to see the Cardinals win at all, and Oregon made it to the championship last year before inevitably losing to Michigan, so we'll see if the Ducks can do it this season, and I can't be surprised that they won by this much, because since they redshirted Austin Novosad, they still had him on the roster. One of these years, there will hopefully be a MAC school in the playoffs, but for now, we get to enjoy the famous Idaho Potato Bowl, where we are favored to beat Colorado State. Now, to my surprise, Central Michigan somehow didn't make a bowl game, which makes absolutely zero sense, but they finished at 8-5, so if we win this, we'd have a better record than them, and that means we'd win the Michigan-MAC rivalry. Getting the right result would also mean no longer having any recruiting restrictions, and I know he didn't pass for as many yards, but we have to talk about how good of a season Ryan Pace had. He completed over 73% of his passes, while being the main reason that DeMarcus Perkins could rush for this many yards, and Ryan Wilson as the backup put up numbers that are very similar to what he had as the starter. As for receiving, our main 2 targets were definitely Jackson McGowan and Dante Moss, but the senior tight end was a little bit disappointing, and I'm just stunned at the fact that we did not have that many sacks this year. As for our defense, one player racked up a ton of the tackles, and that would be Drew Flynn, who actually led the tackles in this stat, and Joel Johnson was 5th in sacks with 10 of them. For a little bit, I thought the left end was falling off, but he racked up some pretty nice numbers. And we have to mention the 15 interceptions because we are not used to seeing numbers like these. Myron Cooper even had the longest field goal in the country, and I'd be so upset if we didn't cap off this season with a win. Surely Colorado State can't be that good, and we are playing this one on Boise State's field, which makes sense. It's the Idaho Potato Bowl. I still cannot believe that we stunned Michigan, but if we can beat the Wolverines, we can take down any team. Ryan Pace is actually going to get a big run, and right now Colorado State's defense looks bad. There should not be a world where Ryan Pace can run like that on somebody, but it's his final game of his college career, so he has to show out, and we're going to go for the slant, but we didn't get it out in time, so maybe this isn't going to be as easy of a win as I thought it might be. With this bounce, it's going inside the 15, and the last time we played a Mountain West school in a bowl game, they put up 49 points on us, but that was Wyoming. I'm not sure Colorado State has that same type of offense, and that looks like it's going to be a big rush. What worked against Michigan was running this press man-to-man coverage, but not there, and I wish we had bowl opt-outs in this one because that would be nice, at least for this situation. How on earth is their quarterback still up? Bring him down, somebody. This is ridiculous. I have a feeling I'm going to be sick of Kevin Harris's name by the end of this day. I need him to throw the ball up to us though, and instead we're going to sack him. So that works too. I just want to make sure that they don't get points on this drive. Money is going to come away with that catch, and he also broke a tackle where he is fighting for what looks like a first down, but I think the refs are going to hit them with holding, and thank goodness we just got bailed out by that call, but they're going with the run and our defense got gashed. On 3rd and short, I was expecting another run, but they decided to pass it instead, and we could have picked it with Davis, but at least we're going to hold Colorado State to a field goal, and no way they missed it. It just continued to hook right, and now we're getting the ball back, but they did a great job of stopping the run there, so I'm going to have to hit Steven Arrington with this crossing route, and we might as well let Ryan Pace throw for another one. It is his final game here at Grand Rapids University, where he has really changed the Mastodons culture. He has done so much for this program. We're so thankful for him. So of course we have to hit the halfback pump draw run one more time, but I never want to see it again. It's normally super rough, and the fact that Ryan Wilson picked up that first down is a massive deal. Stephen Magone isn't creating any separation, and normally we can trust those corner routes, but I guess we couldn't there. This is going to be the final play of the first quarter, and it is still 0-0. Here we go. This is a big 3rd and 5. They stuck with the halfback screen to Perkins, but he has the speed to get to the outer edge, and DeMarcus Perkins has gotten us onto the board first with a touchdown dive. He really turned on the Jets there to make a play out of that because it looked like he was stopped, and I am just waiting for their quarterback to throw a pick in our direction, but I couldn't stick with them well there, and Kevin Harris still didn't see his open receiver. Who would have thought that our man-to-man coverage would stick like glue, and Steven Anderson's all over that. So we are getting the ball back, and this is a pretty solid start to the bowl game, which we need because I want stadium upgrades. I want to start going after some better recruits. And what is Dante Moss doing by not blocking number 20? That literally could have been a house call, but he decided to pull a Deontay Johnson. We're still going to pick this one up, and hopefully with this run we can get something bigger going. Perkins gets a few, but as of recently he's had some quiet games on the ground, and on 3rd and 7 they're running press man-to-man coverage, so we're going to let Ryan Pace try to take the deep shot over the top to Ernie Hicks, who catches it. I have been patiently waiting 5 seasons to make throws like that, and I'll give Perkins one more chance at reaching the end zone with the halfback draw, but I don't think he's going to, so we have got to pass it. And you know that I want to go to our tight end, but they drop back everybody on him, so we're going to be smart, kick our field goal, and go up 2 possessions. This is truthfully a result that we have to get. We cannot screw this one up, and I've got to mix in zone every so often or else they're just going to run man beaters every play, but they always get a bigger gain then. However, it's almost like they want to take it to the half as they were running chew clock, but now they're picking up the first down, and we have got to bring down their quarterback. We were not set up to stop the option there. They're trying to go deep, but it would not have ended well for them if they did, and Joel Johnson almost got the sack. Steven Anderson's going to have to knock him out of bounds, and I'm afraid that they're about to reach the end zone because they are getting very close. I almost want to put everybody into a zone and see if their quarterback is able to manage that. We didn't get pressure in time though, so Billy Bruner is going to get it back within 3 points, and we're going to let Ryan Pace try and get us some points. There's still 23 seconds left, so there is plenty of time, and they think man-to-man coverage on Dante Moss works, but it doesn't, and I think they're going to go with it again. We just need some of these blocks to hold up because I think we would have had him deep, but they're going with the press man look again, and you know what? I could have gone for another deep shot, but we have to be smart, and Ryan Pace missed the throw. We had the field goal, but now we have to pick up yards very quickly and get down because Myron Cooper has made a 58-yarder before, and this one is going in. That one was from 55, so it wasn't even as far out as the previous one, and we are so lucky to have somebody like him as our kicker, but now we have got to stop this run. If we're going to come out in defenses like that, they're just going to go up the middle, and Fred Miller is getting toasted by Pendleton, but I'm enjoying running man-to-man coverage one final time with him before he graduates. And I don't think we're losing that many seniors on this team, so that's exciting. But we'll have to see after this bowl game because I could be wrong. And on 3rd and 14, there's no way that got open. I was about to be so upset. But we've held them to another field goal, and with the 10-mile-per-hour winds, they're going to miss again. It should honestly be all tied up at 13 right now, but it's not. And it's because we have a good special teams unit while they don't. Ryan Pace just kept the ball on this one, but the refs are going to hit us with clipping. So now it is 2nd and 17, and you know what? That's the route that we like to take for the deep shots. Weber had it, and he caught it. I am almost certain that he dropped this ball in midair. We're about to see. It looks like it did come out of his hands, but back into it. So I don't know what type of glitchy catch this is from NCAA football, but I'm not complaining about it. We are keeping this drive alive, and Perkins has a lane here if he's able to hit it, but he got caught from behind just before he could, and Ryan Wilson's getting 4 or 5 until he fumbles it away to Colorado State. We cannot seem to put this one away. They have to keep it close with us. We can't make any more mistakes, because if we do, we're going to find ourselves trailing, and our man-to-man coverage is not going to clamp up forever. Hopefully they throw this out, but we have to understand at some point it's no longer going to work, and this halfback screen gets them 6. This is a very big 3rd and 4, and they just handed it off. So we're going to hold them again, and I refuse to believe that their kicker is going to drill it from this far out. It's wide again. He is 0 for 3, and that alignment on Dante Moss did not seem right, so we are going to throw it up to him, but it wasn't far enough. Ryan Pace literally had a touchdown, but he missed his target, and he is going to complete this to Steven Arrington. How did we get that? That felt like one of the fluky 3rd and 15s the computer gets, and I rarely have stuff like that go my way. This has got to be man-to-man coverage, so we're going to have our tight end on the corner route. Jackson McGowan gets a catch, and I'm not sure what the NFL scouts see in him, but he is projected to be a high draft pick, so that is very exciting. I wasn't even worried about him graduating. I forgot we were losing him because we haven't fed him the ball, but his backup drops everything, so I think we're going to miss him next year when we no longer have him, and this is going to be converted on 3rd and 6 over the Anthony Weber. Why is he so fast? I know he is 93 speed, but it felt like he had a speed boost there, and every so often this game has some funky things that happen in it, but it's a beautiful thing that Drew Flynn's able to get over to that football, and this run is being held up. Our defense has really made me so happy this year. They've done everything they've needed to. Well, at least besides the rough performance versus Central Michigan, but you know what? As long as we win a bowl, it's going to be okay, because we have continued to improve as a program, even though last year was rough, and it's been nice to see that we've been able to bounce back from that. Perkins isn't going anywhere, but there's only 5 minutes left in the game. With this halfback screen, they're all over it, and Colorado State's going to get another opportunity to score on our defense, who has been locking them up. We don't even have any crazy stats over there, but every time they get down the field on us, we force them to a 4th down, and then they kick a field goal where it never goes in, so they only have 7 points, and this is the first time they're getting a big gain in a while. I'm not even worried though, because we can just stop them from reaching the end zone, and there's another speed glitch. I know you all had to see how fast that wide receiver is moving. It cannot be normal. I don't care if he has 99 speed. This got to be a sack, but it's not. And Joel Johnson has missed a few of those, which would have made his numbers look even better. I feel like this has been the most chill bowl game in the world because they just haven't done much on us. And here on 4th and 5, I'm covering this right side of the field. They're just going to go to their running back short. So we have held them again, and we are so close to winning our first bowl game in school history. I don't think you all understand how big of a deal this is, because next year we can start to go after some way better prospects, and that's not going to reach the 1st down marker. But I'm not even upset because I am enjoying playing defense, and I'm so excited to see what all happens here in the offseason. We're also going to take the Michigan MAC trophy home for the first time because we have a better overall record, and that probably should have been an interception, but I wanted to send in a blitz anyway where that could have been picked. That is back-to-back plays where our DB's hands just need to outstretch and catch the ball on Colorado State, because before we know it, they could be in our end zone and their running back was wide open. Our man-to-man coverage is starting to fall apart, and there's another example as he is going to reach the pylon, but at least Colorado State only has 1 timeout left, so we are good if we recover this, and Weber is going to hold on to the football. These are going to be the final few snaps of Ryan Pace's college career, and I think he deserves to have one more run where this goes for 5 yards. He took very few quarterback kneels till the end of his college career, but that final one is going to do it for our senior quarterback, and everything he did for this program was just incredible. Who would have thought that we would be here just 5 years later, celebrating the Idaho Potato Bowl win, and this score makes it look a lot closer than it ever was. This stat line was a great way for Ryan Pace to end his college career. He put up some really good numbers, and when it comes to quarterback records, he holds every single one in Grand Rapids history, while Perkins just took over a bulk majority of Ben Fowler's, and some other notable graduates include Fred Miller, Danny Johnson, Steven Arrington, and Andrew Monroe. We're also losing our punter in Joseph Clement, who used to be a kicker, and Steven Arrington's production definitely dropped off, but he still contributed for 4 straight years, just like Ryan Pace, who had a lot of great moments. points. And Jackson McGowan transferring in from LSU really helped us out. He's become the first player to ever be drafted from Grand Rapids, going in the 3rd round, and I'm hoping I put just enough on all 3 of these guys so we can pull them all in. But the offseason stage never goes exactly how you hope it does, so we're going to be facing off against this cornerback for 4 years. And we signed the top class in our conference, coming in at number 45. That's kind of crazy since the only real notable name that I think about is Pat Smith. And this could be crazy to do with our new recruit who's 266 pounds, but I think our fullback would best be suited as a halfback for us. And there are already way too many quarterbacks in this room, so junior JUCO Daniel Simmons is going to have to be a halfback. It's finally time for the most important part of the offseason though, and I'm always excited for it but nervous at the same time. The reason being is these could change absolutely everything, and I'm seeing a lot of great things like 2+6s and even a +8 on sophomore right tackle Eddie Anderson, but where's our starting quarterback? Brian Johnson's only up to a 78, and all of our wide receivers improved besides Dante Moss. I don't know if the Dynasty tool can target specific position groups as well, but whenever it comes to DBs, we've had a hard time progressing them. But freshman Kyle Stevens shot up 8 overalls, and we'll have to find a way to get the backup strong safety on the field. But our main focus is taking a look at this quarterback room, where we're just going to go ahead and cut Curtis Landry. And starting next year, the MAC is only going to have 8 conference games instead of 9 because I'm going to take away protected rivals. We've worked very hard to build a team just out of these 3 states, and I feel like the roster's looking great, but this quarterback decision's going to be very hard because Brian Johnson is older and a few overalls higher, but his stats are almost identical to freshman Pat Smith's. And you all will see who's the future quarterback of our program in the next episode. But if you made it this far, make sure to hit that like button and let me know down below who you think it should be.